This episode is brought to you by TV38's The Movie Loft. The Movie Loft with Dana Hersey, airing unedited, uncensored movies on broadcast television, just the way Boston likes it.
Oh my God, kids, welcome. It is, what is this? Oh my God, episode 4 of VHS Tapes Are Magic. I'm your wonderful, darling, redheaded, bearded host, Matt McCarthy. Thank you for being a part of this. This is, I feel like every month, and I know it is very late in March, it's as late as it gets. We got a few more days, but it's as late as it gets. And I feel like I don't know if I say it, but I think it to myself every month. This might be my favorite episode of the show so far, and this might be my favorite episode of the show so far. First, I talk with Ken Reid, just a hilarious comedian and podcaster from Boston. He's been doing stand-up for like 25 years somehow, and he is the host of the TV Guidance Counselor podcast that he's been doing since February of 2014. He's had a lot of great guests on it. I've guested on it. It's a great podcast. You should check it out. I mean, if you like this show, you would definitely love Ken's show. It's essentially he has a nearly complete collection of TV guides, and people come on and just pick an old issue from his personal collection, and then they go through it and they pick what they would watch that week, and the podcast is just kind of discussing those choices. It's tremendous. And then I'm going to be talking to Alex Ross Perry, who is again a brilliant writer, director. Specifically, we're going to be talking about his latest, I suppose you could call it a documentary video essay, Video Heaven, which is, again, if you're listening to this podcast, you will love this movie. Alex also worked at the famed Kim's Video. We talk about that. And both of these gentlemen are, just avid videotape collectors, movie collectors, and I have a tremendous time talking to the both of them. And I had so much recorded for this episode that I'm going to push our little middle history segment to next month. You won't have to wait till the end of April. I'll be done with it a little sooner. But I was excited about this audio, and I was like, you know what, I just want to get it out there now. So while Pete and I tour with Pete Holmes, the funny and tall Pete Holmes. We were in Royal Oak, Michigan recently, and I just randomly happened to see online that there was a VHS tape swap happening in Michigan. And then I saw, it's like a horror convention too. And then I saw, oh my God, Joe Bob Briggs is going to be there. And then I was like, wait, where is this in Michigan? And then I saw it was a clean 3-hour drive from where I was. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. In the words of Jeff Hardy, as he stands on top of ladders about to jump off onto his wrestling opponents, fuck it. So I packed up the car and the microphone, and I drove out there and talked to a bunch of people. It was at the Lakes Mall in Muskegon, Michigan, and the home base was Static Tape Video. And I just drove out there with the intention of talking to the owner, Harrison, and hopefully talking to Joe Bob, at least for a couple of minutes. Darcy the mail girl was there as well. Get an autograph, get a picture, and maybe get a couple of words. I wound up hanging out there for like the whole afternoon. I talked to a bunch of people. And yeah, so we're just going to get into it. I'm very excited about this. It's going to be a very long episode, but what are we complaining? So anyway, As always, I encourage you to join my Patreon. The link is in the episode that you're listening to right now. You can join the Video Movie Club, get yourself a membership card to the Video Garage, and access to full unedited videotapes. We're at like 4 terabytes of digitized videotapes. And it's all just stuff taped off TV, and a few other things. I like to, make some stuff. By the time you hear this, you may, if you're already in the Patreon, you'll wind up seeing I did a little watch along. It was something that a lot of people have requested. Really, it basically like a longer version of what I post on social media. T-shirts are available. We have our store at Pro Wrestling Tees. You can check out that. I got a P.O. box if you ever want to make a donation to the collection, to the archive. Always looking for final episodes of Johnny Carson, Cheers, MASH. Have yet to find an original recording of the final episode of Happy Days. So that right now would be my holy grail. But it's always changing. And I have an email as well that you can, if you have some interesting stories, or you've got a heads up for me, maybe you worked at a video store, whatever it is, the Video Movie Club at gmail.com. And what else? I mean, I've got a couple gigs coming up with Pete. Probably, I'm going to be at WrestleMania. If you see me, come say hi at WrestleMania. So I won't be with Pete in Irvine, Texas. It's one of the rare times I won't be on tour with Pete because goddamn WrestleMania. But if you see me at WrestleMania, say hi. I'll be at WrestleCon. I'll be at Fish. I'll be at the Sphere on Thursday night and be running around to wrestling all the rest of the time. But Friday, April 10th, I'll be with Pete at the Moon Tallahassee in Tallahassee, Florida. All right. And in the meantime, always thank you to my beautiful and talented wife, Glennis, who does the tongue-in-cheek ads that we open the show with every time, and the inimitable Mike Doty, who provides all of the music that you hear throughout the show. So, with that said, let's just get into it and enjoy my conversation with Ken Reid. I'm curious if it's a chicken or the egg thing, but what's your earliest memory of like VCRs, really?
So we got one in 1982.
Mm-hmm. And you would have been how old?
I was 2 years old. It was a big top loader. It was a Sony, wood paneling and chrome. And I have a beta version of it downstairs. And by beta, I mean beta machine, not like, not as cool as an alpha. And we lived in Belmont, Mass, in an apartment. And I wasn't allowed to touch it. We had that for about a year till we bought the house that I grew up in Melrose, Mass. I remember the first time I remember using that VCR was the day we moved, August 1st, 1983. We also signed up for the video store, Video Gallery, and rented Dawn of the Dead. And I still have that actual tape from Video Gallery that I bought when they went out of business. And you can't see it in my shop, but the shelves I have on either side of me are the video shelves from Video Gallery as well.
No shit. All right, so then what's your earliest memory? Is it this VCR?
No, my earliest memory is probably my second birthday. My uncle showed up dressed as Big Bird, which I recall vividly, and weirdly I remember standing at the top of the stairs in the house and be able to see out the front door, and I'm walking up as Big Bird.
Wow, that's
and then my
so
second
cool.
memory is seeing Tron on Ice that year.
Tron on Ice, holy shit, man, that's a good memory.
I mean, who could forget Tron on Ice?
No kidding. It's so funny because we're basically the same age. I'm November 79. And so like one of my earliest memories is being at the Gristmill Country Club, which is it's adorable that they put Country Club on that. It was a pool club. and a gym, but they had this huge TV, which again, if I could see it now,
27 inches.
right. And on it was Flash Gordon, and it was the scene where the sands of time are going backwards and they can't turn it over. And just I remember just being like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen, and definitely watched Tron on that TV as well.
Was it on
Yeah,
a videotape, or did they have like a satellite
I
dish?
couldn't say. I don't know.
I bet they had a satellite dish. That sounds like a thing a pool hall would have in 1980.
That's not a bad call. Yeah. You probably nailed it. Did you guys ever have a satellite dish or anything like that?
No, so we didn't have cable for the first 3 years of my life, and then when we moved to Melrose, they had cable there because the reception's really bad. It's like the whole town is built on slate.
Oh, really?
So we kind of had to get cable, which too bad. So we got cable like
Poor
installed
you
that
poor
first week.
guy.
I know, I know. And I remember my dad taping, I think it was an HBO show called The Great Pleasure Hunt.
Okay.
That was like some weird, like dudes traveling around looking for naked ladies type documentary show.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. And then my parents wanted me to play t-ball because I was not social and I just sort of sat inside and read all day.
Yeah.
Um, stayed up all night and watched TV. And my deal with them was I would only play t-ball, which was on Saturday mornings, if every week I got a blank video cassette to tape Saturday morning cartoons.
And you were how old when you started this negotiation?
Four, probably. Yeah, probably four. And that
This
became the
is
basis of my trading seeds.
right. Okay. So I'm going to be real honest with you right now. I feel like we could do this for like 6 or 7 hours,
Got
maybe
nothing to
like
do.
a full weekend. Okay, good. Um, tell me about Video Gallery.
This video gallery was in downtown Melrose. It was the only dedicated video store in the city. There was a couple other places that rented movies, like Delaney Superette, where I used to buy comics in my grandparents' house.
Hmm.
And I remember they had like six movies at that. One I always rented was the original Pee Wee Herman show. They also had Pieces.
The horror
And
movie?
yes, and Mother's Day. So Video Gallery was the first one that opened. It was opened by these two women who in hindsight were probably 25. One of them, as a kid, reminded me of Terry Garr. I was like, this woman's Terry Garr. And the videotapes came in that faux leather clamshell,
Sure. Yeah,
classic faux leather
of
clamshell.
course.
It was just one room. And you brought the box up. They gave you the clamshell in the back. Children's stuff was in the very front. I remember all the fairy tale theaters were there. And then genres, they had along the walls, there were shelves, these shelves. They had, I think, three three of these shelves was the length of the wall because they're probably 7 or 8 feet long.
Mm.
And then in the middle they had sort of like spinner racks that were genres. So like horror was on one of those, comedy. Um, and then they had a book next to the counter, a binder of the pornographic tapes. So that was always fun to see guys flipping through that. They used to save posters for me and like promo items for me. So I would go in there and get those. I remember as a kid, do you remember when you could do like the 10 CDs for a penny thing or cassettes, but they also had it for VHS tapes?
Definitely.
And it would come with basically a sticker book of VHS covers because you would stick which movies you wanted on the thing you sent in.
I have gotten, it's funny, I've gotten collections or like bought tapes at estate sales and was never totally clear where because we're talking like they taped the movie off of TV, but it had the sticker.
Yeah, because you would have got it in the paper or something. It
Yeah,
would have
yeah,
been like a
yeah.
whole thing. So you'd get like, yeah, it was basically a sticker album of current VHS tapes. So I used to draw video gallery and then put all the tapes in the right genre areas. That was fun. And they'd hang those up there.
God. And man, I'm
I'm
like,
looking for it. I just looked to the side because I have some. of the toppers too, the genre toppers somewhere in here, but I
What do you
can't
mean, the little
find them.
sign for
Yeah, like
the
horror,
from Video Gallery?
yeah, from Video Gallery.
When did they go under?
2002. So the two women sold it to this guy, Dean DiGregorio, who used to specifically he
What
was
was
like a
what was his name?
Dean DiGregorio. And he obviously super Italian guy, overweight bald guy, and he was mostly known. All the kids used to call him Cigar Man because I don't think he had kids, but he was like a youth basketball coach.
Okay.
And he would
All
always
right.
have a cigar because you could smoke cigars while you were coaching youth basketball at the time.
That's right.
And so I have no idea why he bought it, but as soon as he bought it, it coincided with like just the fall of VHS, and no one would rent things there, and you'd go in and he'd always be complaining and smoking. And he
And he
only had it for a couple of
never
years.
made the switch to DVD or
No, because
really?
he bought their inventory, and he wasn't really
Sure.
getting like new stuff. And also by that time, we had another video store open in Melrose called Movies on Video, which was actually closer to my house. I could walk there. It had two locations, one in Melrose, one in Watertown. So a lot of people went to Movies on Video instead because they had a much larger selection.
Wow. Are these ladies still around? I mean,
I don't know. Probably. They'd probably be like in their 60s, I imagine. I feel like they were slightly younger than my parents.
wow. And what year did you say they sold to this guy?
They sold about 97 or 98. I was still in high school. So
Wow.
right when I graduated. And then he had it for like 4 or 5 years. And it was mostly an empty store with him outside, just like pacing and smoking cigars,
And
is
then
my
how much
recollection.
how much of that inventory did you wind up buying?
Oh, quite a bit.
Yeah.
So from like 2000 to about 2006, I probably cleared out 20 New England video stores of like 60% of their stock.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is insane now because people are like, I sold a common whatever Friday the 13th tape for $200. I'm like, what? Because I used to, what I do is buy all the movies, keep any that I wanted just for like aesthetic, whatever, because I like the box. There's a few of
Mm-hmm.
those. Anything that wasn't on DVD, I would rip a DVD-R of the VHS, and then I would sell the VHS on usually Amazon Marketplace for like a bunch of money that would cover everything I bought.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, I think I kind of saw this coming, like where we are now with, VHS turning into vinyl records. I think more, if I'm being really honest, more accurately in the 2000s when I was still like buying, and once they became dirt cheap,
Yeah,
it was like getting a ton of VHS tapes and justifying it to other people by being like, oh well, some people collect vinyl. I collect these like vinyl just because I wanted them to get off my back.
right,
When
right.
when the reality was, I was just like, holy shit, my ship has come in. Fucking VHS are cheap now. Like I don't.
Yeah.
It's like who gives a fuck? And then it was like once Blu-ray came in and like Goodwills were just full of DVDs. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I
Because it's a dream. Like people of our age, we were the
yeah.
first generation with cable, which is where you could watch uncut movies at home and then being able to rent these. But being able to own any of that is like
Yeah.
a crazy dream.
No kidding. So where's your I want to get back to the beginning again, but where's your collection at right now?
I sold most of it.
Okay.
So I still have, DVDs, Blu-rays I've kept. Almost all my VHS are gone.
Mm-hmm.
I've kept like I have I think I have every home video format of a few movies like Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead,
Mm-hmm.
Monster Squad. I have some laser discs and big box Elvira tapes. So like a few things here and there, stuff
Mm-hmm.
that's signed, but everything else is gone. Just because I'm like I've done this too because I've been a comic book collector my whole life as well,
Yeah.
and I really just to read. So like there were no holy grails that I was like, whoa, I find this. And I used to flip comic collections as a kid. That's how I used to make money. And so I've gotten rid of most of those too. And I have like digital comics and um, I watched most stuff streaming, but I do have two drawers of like my probably 50 essential movies that I have on every format that I need
Yeah.
to have like a physical copy. But the rest of it's pretty much gone.
Yeah. And then, okay, so folks, if you're listening at home and I keep pausing, it's because I'm so goddamn excited. And I feel like I feel like it's like supermarket sweep, and I'm
Get the
panicking, and
roast beef and
I
diapers.
know I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go next. Um, so so you were renting movies like Dawn of the Dead and Pieces when you were very young? Mom and
Oh
dad
yeah.
didn't have a issue with it, or were they just not paying attention?
A little bit of both. So
Yeah.
I mean, I used to, so I also went to the movies every Wednesday from 1982. The first movie I saw in the theater was E.T. in Medford, the Medford 123, which is no longer
Hmm.
there. And until like 2004, like I saw at least one movie a week every Wednesday. I would go with my parents, and when I was a teenager, I'd go by myself.
Hmm.
So, when I was seeing it with them, it was mostly because they wanted to get a sitter or something. So I saw at least the movie in the theater every week. And every weekend, I think they would just like, hey, go watch some movies. They wouldn't watch them with me. It would be like a
Yeah.
babysitter kind of thing. My sister played sports and was at her friend's house, so they would just rent whatever for me. Weirdly, my mother was obsessed with telling me as a kid and later as an adult that Mother's Day was my favorite movie, which is emphatically not true. She would rent this movie for me, and I don't know if anyone's seen it, but it is like a horrific rape
Yeah.
revenge movie.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so she would just like leave me at my grandfather's house watching Mother's Day or something like that. So I did love horror stuff, and
Yeah.
I'd always read horror stuff and horror comics and comics. But yeah, I there's certainly a bunch of stuff that I should not have seen that they just didn't. There
Sure.
was no rules. There was nothing that was off limits for me to see. Even when we had an endless video that opened in the next town over, and I remember the manager. Her name was Doreen. She was a big lady who did not like the fact that my parents let me rent R-rated movies, and my parents would be like, "Put on the account, he can rent whatever." And then I'd go to rent a movie, and she's like, "You can't rent this, it's R." And I could see on the screen like I can rent that movie, and they'd have to call. It was like a whole thing.
Oh, God, I love this. And you never had like nightmares or
I had one nightmare as a kid that was reoccurring, and it was about Peter Rabbit. It was that Mr. McGregor was trying to kill me with like a shovel.
wow. Holy fucking
But I
shit.
was like a Fangoria kid. I mean, I had a
Yeah.
subscription to Fangoria from early issues, the teens. So I read everything and kind of knew what was real and not.
Yeah. Did you hang on to any of those?
Oh yeah, I have full run of Fangoria up to like issue 200. I have all of Gore Zone, Slaughterhouse, Video Watchdog. Like I still have all those.
Do you have a complete set of Video Watchdog?
Oh yeah, I was a subscriber from issue one.
Wow. Is that guy
'Cause
still around? I know his wife passed
Tim
away.
Lucas is still around, yeah. So it was he used to write that Video Watchdog column for Gore Zone. So
Yeah.
when it spun off into its own magazine, I had a subscription.
I only discovered it fairly recently, and it was one of those things where I don't know, like a comic book store or an antique store where it's clearly it a collection came in.
Was it in the binders?
No, I
Okay.
see those ads for those binders in the back issues. I don't know if you can see it. It's behind these
Oh yeah.
the Kodak color kins sticking out there.
Yeah.
Um, you ever talk to him? I was thinking about
Tim, yeah, I've talked to Tim before. He's a
really.
great guy. Yeah, he wrote this amazing Mario Bava book that I was also like a before Kickstarter was a thing. He did basically a Kickstarter, so my name's in that book, and I actually have a
Shut
couple
up.
letters in Video Watchdogs of stuff that I
Really? Oh, I'll have to
noticed. Yeah,
look.
and I became very friendly with Steve Bissette, who was the comic book artist who drew. He created John Constantine. He drew all of Swamp Thing with Alan Moore
With
writing,
more,
but
yeah.
he was a writer for Video Watchdog, and he's like the most knowledgeable horror movie guy ever. And he's from Vermont,
Wow.
so he would be at comic stuff when I was growing up. So,
Yeah.
and he's very good friends with Tim Lucas. So, I've known Bissette forever.
Video Watchdog, if you don't know, he took it upon himself to be like, wait, this version is different from what was on TV or was in the
Yep.
theater. and it became a column and then became a magazine unto itself, and it's excellent. It's just a great zine for, a physical media collector of any era, but getting it, in the mail as it was, being published, that's tremendous. Oh man.
Yeah, and even when I lived in London in the early 2000s,
Hmm.
obviously didn't have a subscription mailing it, but there was a place off Trafalgar Square, I think. It was called the Movie Store, and it was like a little store that sold like books about movies and some DVDs and Blu-rays. And in the basement they had magazines, and so I'd go there and get the Video Watchdog. And actually, the first time I had a letter in there was one that I bought in England.
That's tremendous. Okay, tell me about being, did you say you were 4 years old and you
Yeah,
started taping TV?
yeah.
Tell me about that. What was, because like as we mentioned, you have the TV guidance counselor podcast.
Mhm.
Uh Tell everybody how vast or complete is your TV guide collection?
It's pretty complete. I have every, so there's probably 30 different versions of every issue because there's regional variations. So
Mm-hmm.
like not counting that, um, I have every issue from the late 50s till about 2010, not missing any multiples of most ones from different areas. The majority are Boston area. I got two collections from one Nebraska and one from Maine that libraries were getting rid of. So some of those as well, but the majority and all the 80s and 90s ones are mine because I used to pay for my own subscription as a kid.
Yeah.
So those are all my issues. And then I have a good amount of issues back to the 40s and the pre-national stuff as well. So it's a lot. It's I don't know what the math is on that, but what is it, 520
I
issues a
mean,
year for
yeah, if
10
it
years?
yeah, it's
Which is
weekly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a few thousand.
Absolutely tremendous. What so tell me about being 4 years old and being like, I need to get blank tapes. Had you already been taping stuff off TV and you were like, oh, this is my new
No,
what?
no, because we
Yeah.
didn't really do blank tapes. Like we would rent stuff. And I remember my dad got he got a bootleg of the Terminator in '84. And that was like
So and it
something
was
we
still in
owned.
the theater.
Yes. So that was
Uh-huh.
something we owned. We had a bootleg of Terminator, and so we'd watch that often. Previewed wasn't really a thing. Like people weren't selling previewed videos then.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was like a little bit of time shifting I think we had done for like The Grinch and like Charlie Brown or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, sure.
But for the most part, weren't taping a lot. So my parents were like, "You got to play t-ball," and I was like, "I'm not missing cartoons." So they were like, "Fine, you can do it." And it was SLP mode, 4-hour blocks. Hardest part was picking which network. I usually ended up NBC.
Yeah,
Um,
smart.
so then I got kicked out of t-ball after a month because I hit a kid with a bat. And then we had the VCR still, and I could rent stuff and I could tape stuff. So then I would watch one network and tape the other network. And actually, we had this sounds crazy. We had a little black and white TV that was in our kitchen at the kitchen table that we all
Hmm.
watched when we ate, so we don't have to talk to each other. So I'd bring that into the living room. I would have one network on that. I would be taping a network and watching the third network.
That's tremendous. Ugh. And then how many of those tapes survived? I mean, were you just taping over or were you?
No, I kept them. I kept them.
Yeah.
So I had about I think I had about 20 or 25 that sort of survived. And I also started uh, taping SNL. And the first SNL I stayed up to watch was the 85, November 85, Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman hosting one. And I taped
Wow.
it as I watched it. And then I started taping SNL for a couple of years. So in the mid 90s, when I was tape trading, um, that sort of collection was pretty high value. So I got a lot of stuff for those Saturday blocks. And just started going nuts with tape trading. And I had been taping tons of stuff by then as well. So often I'll see like archive.org or even YouTube videos or like any like file sharing site. A
Hmm.
lot of times those are my VHS tapes.
How does that feel?
It's very strange. It's
Yeah.
very strange because I'll be like, "Yep, Boston area, that's mine." Like a lot of 120 minutes are mine, and I can always tell because there's like local ad cut-ins, and there'll be the Time Warner Cable Boston ones.
Yeah. Wow. When did you realize, I guess, when did you get into tape trading? Because when did you realize, oh, other people are doing this? Was it kids at school at first or?
Oh God, no. No, I no one at school shared my love of this stuff at all. So I was like pretty much watching all this stuff on my own. Two things. My friend Evan's brother Steven, shout out to Steven Dewar, who's like 8 years older than me. He would tape trade MST3K and Kids in the Hall episodes with people. I think he was at college. So I was like, oh, you can do that. And so I started kind of doing that through him. And then I knew of all the stuff that were ads in Fangoria. So like Video Search of Miami, Blackest Heart, Something Weird Video. Like there are all these kinds of companies. And there would be people who would advertise like pen pal things in there, but they had like trade lists. So I
Yeah.
just do it all through the mail. And then also at Comic Cons, there was always, they were just like filthy with bootlegs. So that would be another source.
Man. What type of stuff would you be looking for? I mean,
It was usually like so the high value stuff was either like full blocks of cartoons usually because people just couldn't get them.
mhm.
Um People didn't want stuff with commercials then, which I was always looking for. Um, so I used to get a lot of like laser like Japanese laser disc rips of like Dario Argento movies,
Mhm.
or like unreleased stuff. Like I remember I got a work print of the Punisher movie with Dolph Lundgren like 3 years before it actually ever came out.
Jesus
Um,
Christ.
I got a work print of Brain. This is fun. I got a work print of Brain Candy, the Kids in the Hall movie, which is dramatically different. There's whole characters, a whole different ending,
Yeah.
and have met those guys and befriended a bunch of them over the years doing comedy. And I forget who I was talking to. I think it was Dave, and we were talking about the work print, and he's like, "I don't have one," and I was like, "Let me get you one." So I made copies of them all of the work print for them all. So their copies are the work print that I had.
God, you know what's funny is we are, I guess we've always been in, it's got to be worse now than ever. The I don't even know what word I'm trying to look for. The lost media, I suppose,
Yeah.
because of how quickly things are either streaming or dumped or then just, recalled. And
Well, the hardest era of stuff to find is the late 90s into the mid 2000s.
why is
100%
that?
hardest because VCRs were going out of vogue. People were starting to buy DVDs at home, DVD players at home, which didn't
Hmm.
record. And people who did record had DVRs or TiVo, which don't stick around. So it
Yeah.
was way easier to find stuff taped in the late 70s than to find like the complete season, series of Ed or like a show from 2002
Yeah.
because people didn't record them because they had them on their TiVos. I do know people who see those DVRs or TiVos at like thrift stores and buy those and see what's on them.
I have heard of that. I don't know. I don't have any experience with it or know anybody who's done it, but I have heard of that. Because I do have stuff. Um, because I mainly pull from estate sales or people will just be like, either grandpa died
Hmm.
or we've got stuff that I don't want to throw it away, but I want to know that it's going to a good home.
Sure.
And occasionally there will be recordings of TiVo, you know, that they've saved it in that DVR, and they are kind of fast forwarding. They're rewatching it in real time, fast forwarding the commercials in real time, which
Yep.
is it's fascinating to see a recording of it.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of stuff from the 2000s and the 2010s. I mean, what was it?
On VHS.
Yeah. Like I just found something. taped in 2018, which was like, okay, this holds the record for the most
Yeah.
recent recording. But yeah, especially some of those mid 2000s or late 2000s tapes, it's like seeing a lot of those commercials, it's like, man, it feels longer ago than watching stuff from the 80s.
Yeah, because you didn't realize it had a vibe to it
Yeah.
till you look at it like that. Like, yeah, all the commercials were those kind of like post Napoleon Dynamite, like surreal commercial for like
Yeah.
everything. Like, yeah, it had a real specific aesthetic, weirdly. I also will argue to my dying day that the late 90s, early 2000s are the absolute worst time ever for graphic design. The Monster Energy drink, WWF, new metal era was bad in pop culture for a lot of reasons, but
Yeah.
graphic design is probably the worst.
I hadn't given it any thought, but you're probably absolutely right. That's tremendous. So then what trying to think. What were you looking for when you were trading tapes?
Movies that I couldn't find, TV shows mostly. So
Mm-hmm.
like TV shows that I either was missing episodes of or wanted to see again, or were like obscure and I'd only caught an episode or two. So like one of the first big ones was the Incredibly Strange Film Show. So this was a
I have some of those.
It's amazing. So this
Yeah.
changed my life as a kid. So it's Jonathan Ross, a UK TV host and producer that he put out a book of it as well. In 86 and 87, he did the first series, and there's a second series called Son of. And they're these short documentaries, half hour to an hour documentaries about like cult movie directors. There's
Yeah.
John Waters, George Romero, Sam Raimi, Ted V. Michaels, Russ Meyer. So I'd heard of a lot of those guys, especially John Waters, because I used to watch Night Flight as a kid. Um, but it like introduced me to like deep dives of these people, and I had only managed to tape a couple of them because they aired on the Discovery Channel here at like odd hours. So I was trying to get that full series. Oddly, I ended up getting the full series at In Your Ear Records on Commonwealth Ave, which is no longer there, which would just sell all kinds of weird stuff too.
Yeah.
Like I remember they had a cache of old porno movie posters, like boxes of them, and they had these like huge boxes of stuff people taped off TV, and there was a tape of like all of Incredible Strange Film Show. So I grabbed a bunch of that there. So that was one that I was always trying to find. Just the 10 of Us episodes was stuff I always wanted because
Dude.
and a bunch of the ones that are out there are mine. The USA Network ones are my
I
summer
I have
recordings.
some of yours then.
Yeah.
That's what I have. I have some crappy, like I printed a cover for the DVD case myself,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
and it's mostly USA Network reruns.
So I was looking for blocks of stuff too. Like my favorite thing was to like sit and basically like recreate a night of television. So like a TGIF block or Saturday
Mm.
morning block or whole episodes of SNL. SNL was the big one too, because SNL to this day is really hard to find complete episodes.
Oh yeah.
If you go on Peacock, they'll advertise an episode, especially the older ones, like or mid period, like 80 to 90,
Hmm.
and the episode will be like 24 minutes. They've
Yeah.
cut everything. And even if it's a full hour and five, a lot of times they've replaced sketches that aired with rehearsal sketches and they sweeten the laughs and stuff. So, like, it's really hard to find actual recordings of SNL stuff. So, those were huge. I was always hunting those down.
Yeah, I find that the copies that I have come across, it's always the Comedy Central reruns.
Hmm.
And same is true for Late Night with David Letterman. It's
Hmm.
always when that reran on Trios.
Yeah. And they're cut down to the hour episodes. So they're missing, 30% of the show.
Yeah.
So I had a ton, like, I think at one point I had every SNL from original airing uncut from like 80 to 90,
Jesus.
which a lot of them are still out there. I see them float
Yeah.
around on archive with commercials and everything. So yeah, that was for whatever reason, even as a kid, like I loved having the whole thing. Christmas specials with commercials. So like
Yeah.
that stuff I was always looking for, different airings. Movies as well that were mostly like just hard to find movies. So like I remember getting a copy of like um Brain Dead and Bad Taste, the two New
Yeah.
Zealand movies from and you know stuff I would read about in Video Watchdog that was like you can only get this in England or whatever, or the Japanese laser disc. So it'd be that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. There's still In Your Ear is still open in Bristol, Rhode Island. Oh, no, no, no.
Oh,
They're in
really?
Warren. They're in Warren. Yeah. Because
Nice.
I grew up going on Thayer Street in on the east side of Providence. At one time there was maybe 7 different record
Oh
stores,
yeah. Oh yeah. I
you
remember.
know, but like In Your Ear, Tom's Tracks, those were the ones that it was like,
Yep.
okay,
Second
go.
Coming was a big one.
Yeah, Goldies. There was that. I mean, here's this was it's a point of pride for me. A Sam Goody opened up on Thayer Street and went out of business because the kids
Yeah.
refused to go there.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
remember there was a place called Disc Diggers that
Uh-huh.
was one of the it was in Davis Square in Somerville, and it was like word got it, they sell used CDs and used albums, and they're cheaper. And it was like a huge deal. And then
Yeah.
Strawberries in Harvard Square and the Downtown Crossing Strawberries had used CD sections. And it was like a big deal to be able to pick up that stuff, which was crazy.
You know, it's funny. The first episode of Incredibly, what is it? Incredibly Strange Filmmakers
Incredible Strange Film Show.
Film Show. Thank you. The first one I ever saw, and I didn't know what it was. I just again came across a tape and was watching it. It was Herschel Gordon Lewis.
That's a good one.
It's a really good one because that's a classic example of you watch those movies and you assume this man is a sick son of a bitch, and then you spend a day with him on that dock and you're like, this guy couldn't give a fuck less. He's
He's a
just a
Florida businessman.
he's a used car salesman.
Yep.
He's
Yeah.
just like, oh, more blood is controversial and controversy creates cash. Great, then we'll do more blood.
Yeah. And
The
it
more
was
angry people get, the more money they spend on the
free
movie.
publicity. Yeah. And it was the great thing about when he made those documentaries is that all those guys were still around and were coherent and had been around long enough that they could look back at the stuff they made in the 60s and 70s and early 80s and like have some perspective on it and some
Yeah,
insight. And it was just a perfect, you just got all those guys at like an absolute perfect time.
that's
and
so
and
great.
that I fell in love with John Waters then too. And so John Waters
Hmm.
spent and still spends every summer on in P Town. And so in the summers he would come at least once a year and do like a film screening at the Coolidge Corner or the Brattle and do like a Q&A and show a movie. So I would always go to those. And I always say that's like the first stand-up I ever saw because he's really is just
He's
doing stand-up,
so funny.
and
Yeah,
he's so funny and smart and like a real like film scholar. So then I would look for movies that like he brought up. He would bring up movies I'd never heard of, and I'd be like, oh, I gotta see that. I gotta see that. So then it was like hunting that kind of stuff.
and he's one of those guys too. Again, you watch the movies and you're like, oh, this person's demented, and then you see an interview with him, you're like, oh, he's a sweetheart. Like, oh,
Yeah,
those movies are supposed to be funny. Oh,
yeah,
I get it. It was
yeah.
like
There's
I was always like, what's the movie called?
multiple
Necromantics.
maniacs. Oh, Necromantic. Yeah, from
Right.
yeah, Jorg something. They
Yeah.
always advertised it in Film Threat.
It's it's on paper and frankly on screen, it's one of the most depraved, like horrible
Yeah,
movies
not
you can
fun to
imagine.
watch.
No. But when Joe Bob showed it on Last Drive-In, giving it context of no, 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 you have to understand they were being punk rock.
Yeah,
They were trying to offend you. They were trying to be depraved. It was a rebellion, this movie. I was like, "Oh,
yeah.
it
Same like Tetsuo the Iron Man, like though that little subgenre of
yeah,
those sort of weird black and white punk rock, the Beth B movies, the Richard Karn movies. Not Richard Kind. Um,
Richard Kind."
we're all like that, you know.
It's funny because I was when I was driving back to my house today, and Dead Kennedys came on my mix, and it's and he and the song "Too Drunk to Fuck," when
Yeah.
at some point he just goes, like the baby in Eraserhead.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, yes, that movie in context of the late 70s, new wave punk, like it creates a larger context for art, you know?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. My wife and I were watching some David Lynch stuff last night, and it was some stuff about Eraserhead. And I often recall in the late 90s when I took my friends to go to midnight showings of Eraserhead and how just pissed at me they were. They hated every second of it. And it was like, what is wrong with you? And it's funny to me that that movie officially was released in 1977, and I was seeing it like 96, 97. It wasn't even 20 years old,
Right.
which is insane.
And it hasn't aged a day. I
No.
mean, maybe some of the claymation you could be like, it looks dated, but it's
It's
like
stylized. Yeah,
it's
it's like,
stylized. Just like the woman in the Radiator, her cheeks, it's like you could say, oh, that's crappy looking special effects, but it's like, no, it fits. It fits the tone of this.
yeah. I just watched yesterday. Actually, I was a Kickstarter for Alex Cox's final movie. He did a Western version of Dead Souls, the Gogol story, which is a really cool, weird story.
Yeah.
And it takes place in the 1800s in Russia, and it's based on a real guy who would essentially you could get tax credits for people's. I forget exactly how it worked, but he'd basically go buy dead people, like buy the rights to their souls essentially, and you get these tax credits because there was like a lag between when the state knew they were dead. So this guy, and then he would sell them. It was like he made a ton of money doing this, and that's what the
Wow.
book is about. It's this really weird dark satire. So Alex Cox made a Western version of it, and I just got the screener yesterday and watched it. But I bring it up because there's a flashback scene in it that he does in claymation, and so it is very similar in style to some of the Eraserhead stuff, and it works. It's
Yeah.
like it's an interesting, weird way to sort of break up the movie, and makes it feel somewhat timeless because you're like, I have no idea. This could be made in the 70s or yesterday. I have no idea.
Wow. You ever come across I always hear about there's one clip on YouTube, but there was a period of time when NBC was sending uh the Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson from the satellite in Burbank back to New York.
Hmm.
And people with satellite dishes were taping it.
Raw feeds, yeah.
Raw feeds, they were taping, they got their hands on rehearsal. There's the footages of Johnny swearing, they're like trying to do
Hmm.
some commercial. You ever come across any of that stuff or
Yeah, all the time. So the sort of wild west of satellite dishes, and this
yeah.
is up until the early 90s, really. This is like pre-digital. Most TV stations, in order to get programming to air, would not download it. They would get a satellite feed, tape it, and air that tape. That's how they got it was the easiest and fastest way to get programming. So they weren't any passwords or anything. They didn't scramble it. So if you had a satellite dish, you could pull down all that stuff, raw HBO feed, news feeds. And there were a ton of guys in the 90s who would share that kind of stuff. And there's all kinds of compilations of like a lot of those like news bloopers, like a lot of that's from that. Um, and like that Siskel and Ebert thing with them swearing at each other, that's from one of
Right.
those. Yeah, so a ton of that stuff would come through. And that's where you'd get that whole satellite dish world was really strange.
Yeah, because I never even thought about that because I always assumed like something like that or like there was like any news stuff. I always assumed it was somebody on the crew that was like, "Fuck this guy, I'm going to leak this out,"
Sometimes that's
which
where
yeah
the
may have happened. Yeah.
Bill O'Reilly stuff. I worked at Channel 4 here in Boston, or an NBC affiliate when I was in college,
Uh huh.
and Bill O'Reilly used to work there, and they fucking hated him, and so they used to keep compilations of him being an asshole, and you could get the stuff from them there.
Sure, because I mean that what was it? Hard copy.
Yeah, we'll do it live.
Oh, fucking thing
Yeah,
sucks.
there's so much stuff like that from when he was in Boston. I had a tape somewhere that one of the tape library guys gave me ages ago. That's very, very much along those lines, but it's like an hour and a half compilation of him.
Wow, just really being a prick.
Yeah. Oh, just a total dick.
Ah, that's tremendous. Was there I want to get to Channel 38 in a second, but like
Yeah.
did we have a horror host in New England?
Yes. So we had a horror host in the late 60s called Feep. And Feep was supposed to be an alien, but it's
Uh-huh.
basically a light bulb with like a weird, like a pacifier mouth and someone doing its voice, like, and Feep. And it was like they kind of do it with like the Outer Limits sort of effect. And that was for about 5 or 6 years. That was the only on camera one I remember.
What
Um,
channel did that?
that was on 38.
Oh,
And then,
really?
yep.
Okay.
And then Dale Dorman, who is no longer with us, but was a longtime DJ on like, I think Kiss 108 and then Oldies 103.
Uh-huh.
He used to host Creature Double Feature just as a voiceover guy. So,
Right.
sort of a host, but that's kind of the closest we had.
And that was
And
Channel 56, right?
that was 56, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Dana
Um,
Hersey. I mean, he
right.
did a lot
So
of horror movies.
yeah, so growing up, in Rhode Island, I got, WLVI, Channel 56, SBK, Channel
Yep,
TV 38.
TV 38.
And these were and WOR, Channel 9.
Yeah, and
And
PIX probably too.
yeah, Pix 11, yeah. Um it's what a great spot to be growing up in, like the age wise, TV wise, technology wise, of just all these things happening at once. And so TV 38 on Friday night, or maybe even Saturday night too, sometimes, was the movie loft
Yep. And
with
then it
host.
sometimes would be every night during the week on
Yeah,
some weeks.
sometimes it'd be every night. Hosted by Dana Hersey, who, do you know much of his background? Did he start as a radio guy?
He's a radio guy. He's
Yeah.
a Billy West of Ren and Stimpy and
Yeah.
everything else is from Boston, and he bases a lot of his announcer voices on Dana Hersey, and
Really?
he refers to it as Big Dumb Announcer. Like that's like he literally. So like his Ren and Stimpy, he uses that announcer voice a lot, and that's like his Dana Hersey.
Because I often think of, and no doubt you're the one who taped it, Dana Hersey hosting Silver Bullet,
Yes.
right? And after the intro, it's like it wasn't like a horror host where they're kind of, it's tongue in cheek and we're like, let's enjoy what's fun about this movie. There was a quiet disdain from Dana Hersey about the werewolf movie, and he's like, and Corey Haim thinks that it's werewolves. Almost like daring you to watch this movie, you fucking idiot, you
He
know?
looked at himself like a cinephile,
Yeah.
and he didn't always get to pick the movies. So he started as the announcer at TV 38, and TV 38 had a show every week for decades called Ask the Manager. And it was the
Right.
station manager. I think it was on Sundays. You'd read in
Hmm.
questions, and Dana Hersey and the station manager would sit there and open mail and answer questions. And Dana Gould actually got a question on once that Dana Hersey read, because they showed Planet of the Apes with the reels out of order. And Dana Hersey's like, "Get a life, kid." Like he was like, which was amazing. So yeah, he hosted a few different shows on the station, including Hersey's Hollywood later, which was him doing press junkets.
Yeah.
And that's the one I think I sent you that tape of him with Michael Palin and John Cleese, and he's making them do sketches he wrote with them because he's a huge Monty Python fan. He's like a super Monty Python nerd. Like it used to be a huge cliche that like the nerdiest, most annoying people would quote Monty Python all the time in the
Yeah.
80s and 90s, and he was one of those guys. And he'd bring up Python in any movie he possibly could in the intros. So he's in the conference room at TV 38, and he's making them do this sketch with him where they're like schoolboys, and he's like the headmaster, and it's so weird.
That is horrifying. And then he did a one where he would just kind of walk around Boston too, wouldn't
We
it?
Don't Knock, it was called.
Okay.
So TV 38 had a lot of local content. Lenny Clark had his own show on TV 38, which no tapes have ever or I've never seen it, but he
Yeah.
had it for like 2 years, and it was like from what I've heard it described as, it's basically Wayne's World with Lenny Clark, and there would be like on the street segments and all this stuff. So they did a lot of that kind of thing, and We Don't Knock was kind of a variation on that. So the premise was Dana Hersey surprising people at like local celebrities at their place of business. So one of the ones that I uploaded was him going to BCN. He goes to
Hmm.
the Rat, like he would go to places like that, and then they would have segments in the middle that were like almost like Conan or Letterman, like remote pieces, but
Yeah.
like various local comics would do the stuff. So like Kevin Meaney did stuff on it every now and then.
That's what I was gonna say. Didn't Kevin Meaney do that? Like at
Yeah,
clubs, he would grab
yeah.
a camera and or he would just take the microphone outside.
He had a weekly show at Stitches, which is now the front bar at the Paradise on Com Ave. And he had a camera guy, and he would go out, and they had a feed into the stage, and he would interview people on the street. And there's footage of that around still. Yeah, that show, the tales of that show are amazingly crazy and weird and alt. Like Bobcat Goldthwait, when he was moving to San Francisco, he had a garage sale on stage at that show. Like just really weird stuff that is amazing. So TV 38 tapped into those guys quite a bit.
Wow. And so the movie loft, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't their motto they have commercial breaks, but they are going to show the movie unedited.
Yes, whenever possible. So their big first movie was The Deer Hunter. They showed The Deer Hunter
They
uncut.
This is on broadcast TV,
Yep,
kids.
yep.
With
Because there
commercial,
was,
like we're cutting into the Deer
oh yeah,
Hunter to sell you soap, and the Bruins game is going to be later this week. All right, back to the fucking Deer Hunter.
yeah, oh yeah, and the Friday the 13th movies. So when I worked at Channel 4, they had just bought TV 38 and 28 in Providence, which I think was WPVI or something, PIV maybe.
Hmm.
And horrifyingly enough, this was like 99. As an intern, I went over to 38 to like clear out the building. So there was all the movie loft stuff, the movie loft set. Like I didn't take any of the stuff, but I learned that, and this was the case in most UHF stations, they all had an in-house film editor. So when they would show movies like pre really mid to late 80s in a lot of these places, they'd get usually a 16 millimeter print of the movie uncut. And their in-house guy would cut out they didn't think they could show. And then a lot of times showing the movie, they were projecting it and having the camera film it that way.
Like a kinescope?
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy fucking shit! What?
Super low tech because there weren't the videotape was super expensive.
Sure, that makes so much sense because I have very vague memories of watching. I mean, well, fuck, what am I talking about? I just found a copy of a tape in God, what part of what part of town was this in? Oh God. I mean, it was here in LA. It was Channel 5 KTLA.
Hmm.
Movies Till Dawn. The movie's called like Of Love and Desire or something like that. But it flooded me with so many memories because I'm like, this is such a crappy copy of the movie. Like
Hmm.
the stock is so beat up. That's all the cuts and scrapes and the little hairs coming in and shit. And it's like now it makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's not a videotape transfer.
It's not videotape.
It's a print. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Which is how a lot of like if you're a Doctor Who fan or not, there's a fast if you're like a physical media nerd,
Yeah.
the Doctor Who preservation stuff is fascinating because they're like one of the first sort of fan groups of guys that ended up working at like the BBC and all this stuff. So their mission was to hunt down as many Doctor Who episodes as they could find. Because there's a bunch that were wiped from tapes, and then to restore them. So they have, I think it's a blog that's been up for like 30 years, but they have like these really incredible stories where they found 16 millimeter prints of episodes that went to South Africa or America or New Zealand that were for to air in that way that had been sitting in some TV station forever. Meanwhile, the videotape got wiped, but they have a print of it, and it'd be in black and white. And then like, it's very interesting how that stuff just ended up sitting places because that was the only way to distribute stuff. Like I had Brian Trenchard Smith on the show, and he directed Turkey Shoot and Dead End Drive-In and Night of the Demons 2, Stunt Rock, tons of really interesting guy. His first job was he edited all the trailers for Hammer films, which was really fascinating. But then he moved to Australia and he worked as an editor for the news. And the news editing was all on film. So they would go shoot the stuff on film, send it to the lab, get it back as quick as possible. And he had like 20 minutes to edit it before it aired. And it would be on this like spinning platter. So you had to stack it in the order that it was in because they would literally like they're projecting it and showing it on the thing.
Wow. And that's the old cliche, film at 11.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100%, which is, yeah, nuts.
Wow.
That's insane.
So, um, there are copies of the movie Loft that probably only exist because of you
A
taping it.
couple of them, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, a couple of them. But there was so many. There's so many that are
Well, there's
missing,
so
which is a
many.
shame. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they would show a lot of genre movies. I remember all the Friday the 13th movies being on like once a month.
Yeah, they would show that. And it's funny, I have a God, what channel was it? It was they had it simulcast in, it was Dialing for Dollars with
Hmm.
what's his
In
name?
Rhode Island, yeah,
Yeah. And it's Friday the 13th, the first one. And it's funny too because when you're watching it, at first my brain was like, how did they show this? Because it's an after school movie. It's like a
yeah,
4:30 in the
4:30
afternoon
movie, yeah,
movie. And as you're watching it, it finally dawned on me. I was like, oh, not much happens in this movie. There are a few very violent moments and very famous kills. Kevin Bacon getting the spear through
hmm,
his throat and all that. But by and large, it's mostly them hanging out and walking around. It's a
yeah,
lot of people walking in the rain,
yeah,
you know.
100%.
But then again, I'm like, this particular showing, it's not even the full movie. No, it is the full movie. It doesn't have him introducing the movie.
Yeah,
And I didn't even know this is like my family's copy. I didn't even know we had this tape. It was like the beginning of the tape it was one of my mom's tapes that she used for school. She was a home economics teacher. She taught child development in high school. And so the opening of the tape is the episode of Family Ties where Alex's friend
hey, my name
dies.
is Alex. Yep, he won an
Yes.
Emmy for that. Yep.
It's one of my it's my favorite episode of that show, and it's one of my favorite episodes of any TV show. It's excellent. And after that is a film that, again, my mother must have made a copy of at Rhode Island College, because the beginning of it, even it explains, this is this property of Rhode Island College. It's used for educational purposes only, and it's called Where is Dead? And it's about a girl. It's about a family, and the boy dies, and then the sister is trying to understand what happened to her brother. And it's terrific. It really is. It's terrific. Then after that, it's pieces of a Donahue about birth order, and that's all I knew was on the tape. And then all of a sudden, Dialing for Dollars starts with Friday the 13th, and he's giving away, this is from East Providence.
Let's call and see. We got the postcard.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. 3 from the top,
Because I would only ever see that when I'd spent every summer in Narragansett. So we
uh-huh.
didn't have Daily for Dollars in Massachusetts. So I would watch that every day in Rhode Island in the summers.
trying to
Yep.
win some Cuisinarts or the money. And I got to imagine that's the only copy of that airing that exists,
Oh yeah, I bet they don't have. So one thing I've learned that's kind of sad and kind of shocking is
Yeah.
most companies didn't keep air check tapes, just didn't. And especially now where they've been bought and bought and bought by all these different,
Right.
like there's like two conglomerates that own everything. They don't even know what they have. So um prime example, a friend of mine was in a pilot, a Disney pilot that aired on the Wonderful World of Disney called Just in Case, and it was her and George Carlin, and George Carlin played a dead detective and she was his assistant, and it
Right.
was a pilot movie. It didn't go. So a couple years ago she called me and she was like, do you have a copy of that? Disney called her and asked her if she had a copy, because a lot of times the people in it would have taped copies so that they could put it in their reel because they didn't have a copy.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, but I bet Ken Reid does. So she called, and I did. So I burned a copy. So like the official Disney copy of that is like a taped version from me. So they just don't have it. So like MTV stuff, like Karen Duffy is a really good friend, Duff, and she's got like zero footage of her VJing on MTV, and that was every day for hours. There's like
Yeah.
nothing. And I don't know if you ever watched the Pop Arena channel on YouTube. He does a show called Knickknacks where he's going through every single Nickelodeon show
Uh-huh.
from chronologically, and it's really well done. But some of the shows you just couldn't find stuff, and Nickelodeon stuff was one of the things I had a ton of. So I literally just sent him every Nick show I have. And
Yeah.
it was, he's like, where did you get 12 episodes of Rated K for kids? Or like, Kids Core, all this stuff just didn't have. And Nickelodeon doesn't have it. Like, no one, people might have kept it if they were doing like a resume, like a video resume.
Yeah, I met God, what's her name? I have her autograph over here somewhere. She did the voice of Dumbo on Dumbo Circus
Oh, the
on
live
the
action Dumbo Circus,
yeah, on the
that
Disney
terrifying,
Channel.
oddly Christian show.
Very. I found a Betamax with an episode of that is presumably lost. Also Winnie the Pooh's Corner, or maybe it was just called Pooh's
Yep.
Corner.
Welcome to Pooh's Corner, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Also live action.
It's incredible. It's people in suits
Yep.
acting like cartoon characters. It's a tremendous waste of money.
Early days in Disney Channel
Yeah.
was real weird. So
Real weird.
in early days of Comedy Central, when it was called the Comedy Channel and then CTV, were
Hmm.
like this as well. They only had it was a 24-hour channel, but they had 12 hours of programming. So they just repeated it. So it was an exact repeat of the previous 12
Right.
hours. And so
It
even
used to
then
make
there's
me
some
crazy.
weird stuff. Yeah. Like I saw this morning.
Is that stuff still out there? Like the Higgins Boys and Gruber and Onion
That's
World?
really hard to find. I have
Really?
one episode of Onion World. I have two episodes of Higgins Boys and Gruber. I've found one short attention span theater, one Sweet Life, when John Waters was a guest. No Tommy Sledge,
Yeah.
pretty much no Night After Night, and Alan Havey doesn't even have any. And that was his show, because you're like, it's a every night show. Why would we record this? Like what's
I know.
so it's
I
really only Mystery Science Theater was the thing that people recorded.
It's a shame because I know I taped so much of that stuff and then just was like, what's the point of having this and taped over it or something?
Yeah.
I know I had like Paul Provenza had a talk
Comics
show.
only. Yeah.
Yeah.
Provenza has all those. So
Oh,
I've
he
been to
does?
his office and he's got them all because he produced it. So he's got them all. So
Of
he
course
he
he
does have
does.
those.
That's great. I had Bill Hicks on his show. I think it was his show or it was Alan Havey's show, but it was like he was promoting Dangerous, his first
Yeah.
album. And I remember being like, I didn't even know this guy had a record. That's crazy. And then like calling, record stores to try to find it.
On Ryko disc
Oh
from
my
Salem,
God.
Massachusetts.
Insane. The
I
worst,
remember,
the worst holders,
oh,
that
awful.
centerpiece on
Those like
Ryko disc
the weird sort of green glass looking. Yeah, they
always
did not
broke.
think. Yep, every
Every
time. Very
every
brittle.
Morphine album I have is just
Yep,
jostling
sugar.
around inside
Yep.
there.
I remember, so Fred Wolf, who was a writer on SNL, and he co-wrote Dirty Work
Yeah.
he was the sidekick on Comics Only,
Yes.
and he used to do some really weird sketches. And there's one I remember to this day, and I quoted it to Provenza, and he used to do a thing called Bad Day, Worst Day. And the only one I remember is Bad Day, Blood in My Urine, Worst Day, Corn in My Urine. It was so fun. And it was like pre-Conan, so it was like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But and I remember I remember they had like a city skyline as the backdrop, and they had an
Yeah.
ongoing joke that the Pillsbury Doughboy lived in one of the apartments, and he was like a pervert, and he was always trying to get him to poke him in the stomach so he could laugh. And there was one where Provenza goes in, he goes, ugh, and he pulls it out, and there's like raspberry sauce on his finger, and he's like, oh yeah, I don't know what that is. Like, it was like this really weird. It'd be very funny.
Holy fucking shit. I remember being the only one of my friends who enjoyed that stuff, and like specifically Higgins Boys and Gruber, because it was like I don't know if it was because they showed
Supercar and Bob and
yeah.
Ray, and yeah,
Did they show Clutch Cargo?
they show Clutch Cargo. Yep.
Yeah. So it always had this feel like it was a it was like an old cartoon show with hosts, but it was like these men are sick. This is
Yeah,
sick what's happening here.
very funny and weird, and they just could do
Yeah.
whatever they wanted. It was the MTV model. So the early days of the Comedy Channel, before it merged with Ha and became Comedy Central, the idea was comedy MTV. So it would be VJs
Yeah.
essentially doing wraparound things, and they show movie trailers, old clips, stand-up clips. It was like that was the the sort of idea behind it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they showed old kids shows, but within that, they pretty much let them do whatever they wanted.
And like you said, you're like no exaggerate. Like if I stayed home from school sick and I just watched that channel all day, it was on a loop, and it would start to like I would start feeling like I'm going crazy because
Yeah.
it was mind numbing how it was just this. I remember they showed what's the Peter Falk Alan Arkin movie?
Oh, the parents one,
Yeah,
the in-laws.
The In-Laws. Thank you. They showed that serpentine clip
Yep.
on a fucking loop one day, and I was like, it's I had never seen the movie, and as like an 11-year-old, I'm like, I fucking hate this
Yep.
movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Out of context,
crazy.
it's yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was actually my I have two Comedy Central credits.
Uh-huh.
One is when I was 13 years old. They did a thing called Stand Up to Go, and they went to various malls and set up like a little fake stand-up set, and you could do either karaoke stand-up. They literally had laser discs with like jokes that would go across, or do your own stuff, and then they would air some during short attention span theater. And I went to the Meadow Glen Mall, and I remember the guy gave me a Comedy Central yo-yo, and I was on, and I had a tape of it. And they mailed me a tape in like a Comedy Central sleeve, and then I don't have it anymore. My
Yeah.
I was living in England, my mother lost the house, and like a bunch of my stuff got gone. But that aired, and then the other time I was on, was when I was doing stand up in like 2006. They had some kind of it was some contest thing, and a clip I did about Canopy Lake Park was on, and I never even saw it. People just told me they saw it on there.
Yeah, because that's the wild thing is like so many of the vast majority of the commercials that I've been in over the last 10, 15 years, it's like it, they're just gone, you
Yeah,
know.
unless you kept them for some reason for a
Right.
reel.
There are clips on I'd say at this point now, the reel I posted in 2008, that's the only copy that exists of most of that stuff. And I have like an old laptop from that time period that I'm like, you know what, I need to try to get this thing working to see if there's still files on this. Um Because like me and Nick Stevens hosted action movies on AMC in like
Yeah,
2009 or 2010, something like that. And they gave us a DVD of all the segments. And then I went to recently like look at it. I'm like,
rotted.
well, I was like, God damn it, it's not even a DVD. It's a like it had files on it.
Oh, it was a VCD.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh fuck. And so then I'm trying it on my wife's computer. I brought it to Rhode Island. I was like, maybe it'll work on my dad's old computer. And then I'm like calling Nick. I was like, do you have that still? He's like, yeah, I got it somewhere. I was like, will you see if it works? It's gone otherwise. It's
Yeah,
gone,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
Andre Gower is a buddy and from the Monster Squad, and Andre is the kid in the ET Atari game ad. And they were making that documentary about it, and
Yeah.
nobody had copies of this ad. And if you grew up at that time, that ad was on all the fucking time. Like
Yeah.
it's impossible to believe no copies of that ad existed, like with the ad agency or Lucasfilm or whatever, but they didn't. Nobody had one. And so they called Gower and he's like, I think I have a beta of it in my parents' garage from like when it, and he did. And that's the clip they use in the movie, in the documentary. But like if he hadn't kept that for his own reel,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have that.
Man, we're really doing the Lord's work, aren't we,
We
Ken?
truly are. Truly are.
So what are you collecting now? I mean, are you still in the hunt for stuff or
Not really. Like I just have too much stuff. Like your listeners
yeah.
can't see this, but like my office is like a nightmare. It looks like Laszlo's lab in UHF, with all kinds of stuff everywhere, including, you'll appreciate these,
Yeah.
uh, velvet paintings of Bert and Ernie that I got at a thrift store.
What in the fuck?
I went to a thrift store on my birthday, and they had these velvet Bert and Ernie, and they're amazing. Oh, and just as a wrestling fan, these Mexican bootleg luchador toys, which
I
are
I know
amazing.
I know that that stance very well.
Yeah. So, you know, I try not to have as much stuff because I just realized that, like, the joke I always make is that the lawyer that the bank appoints to deal with my estate when I die might have a fun week.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and that, so I kind of just keep stuff if it's like someone gave it to me, or like it
Hmm.
has something connected to it, or if it's something that I know is not reliably streaming. But like, yeah, most of my comics are gone, with a few exceptions. You know, I still have some action figures and stuff. I still go to the thrift store like once a week just because I don't leave my house very often. I kind of have to force myself out. And
Hmm.
the thing I love about a thrift store is I like not knowing what the hell's going to be there.
Yeah.
It could be
Yeah.
anything. And also like learning about stuff. Like I like to, as a kid, my goal was to be the guy teenagers went to if they had to kill a monster, and you'd be the guy being like, I think I have a book somewhere about that. Yes, yes, you know, like that guy.
Yes.
So like I've always been like, I need to have this knowledge. So like I'll learn about like Staffordshire pottery, or like I like being able to like eye a shelf and be like, oh, that's actually from the 1890s. Or like this is an old thing. I don't always buy it, but it's fun to like take pictures of weird stuff. So I'll kind of do that. I have the take only pictures, leave only footprints approach a lot of the time now.
Hmm.
So
Did,
not
so
much.
did you digitize uh your tapes or
All of them, yeah.
all of them?
Yep. Yeah. All of the ones that I was like, okay, this is something you're not going to see, or this is hard to find. I digitized them all. So I had binders and binders. And actually, a few years ago, a listener of my show um, had a Plex server, and he's like, I'll put all your DVDs on a Plex server for you. And he
Hmm.
started, I mailed him like half my discs, and then he kind of lost interest. But the Plex is still up there, and I have a good amount of stuff that just was hard for me to. I mean, they're all, it was like 10,000 discs. So it'd be
Yeah.
difficult to dig for stuff. So I can just call them up on the Plex and watch like every episode of Friday the 13th, the series with commercials from TV 38 or Monsters, or yeah, SCTV from Nick at Night. They did a bunch of marathons. That was one of the things I taped
Yeah.
early on. Um, and some of the ones that I sent you were, yeah, from that batch. So I have those
Right.
uploaded, but almost everything is digitized.
Yeah. I
I just
mean,
watch it more.
well, it's because it's the it's only an arm's length away as opposed to I know it's over there somewhere, you
And I
know.
love being able to make playlists. Like
Yeah,
I can curate a night of television with that. So like on that Plex server are a ton of Saturday morning cartoons with commercials. And I can like Frankenstein together like
yeah.
a Saturday, watch Thundar the Barbarian after show that was not on the same channel. And the other thing I love is Plex. If you make a playlist, you can do random.
Oh, that's tremendous. Oh, you want to say something? I was waiting for this to pop back up on eBay because there are no copies of this show, Pandemonium.
Oh yes, Canadian show, I believe it was on NBC here. It's terrible.
It's terrible. I only know it from ads and comic books, where it was like
Coming this Saturday, it's
coming,
Hubert and
yeah, this
Pandemonium.
this fall, like Gilligan's Planet,
Foofer.
Pandemonium, Meatball and Spaghetti,
Oh, meatball and spaghetti, so bad.
Yeah, but because it was like these shows were up against like Smurfs,
Yeah,
or Muppet
Muppet
Babies.
Babies. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's like came and went one season. It's like I don't think they ever interacted on the show, but like in the intro they had like Fred and Barney and the Thing,
yeah.
you know?
But the weird cartoon thing that was a kid with a magic ring, and he went, "Thing ring, do your thing." So 70s.
Ah! It was people people are so sick of the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
Oh
right?
yeah, they
And
should be.
and maybe rightfully so. But growing up when we did, it was a desert. Like once
Yes.
Spider-Man and his amazing friends ended,
Which is still amazing. And to this day, that's like one of the shows I put on to go to sleep to. Just the soundtrack alone.
dude, I noticed very early on, like I was like, wait a second, they play this song during G.I. Joe Real American, you
Yeah.
know? It was like, oh, all that what is it, Sunbow
Boo doo doo
Productions?
doo doo. Yeah.
Yeah. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had a
Da-da.
crush on Firestar as well, but that's a different
Oh,
thing.
dude.
Yeah, outside of that, we had nothing. I remember
It was nothing.
there was a thing on TV 38, and they'd air it at 5 a.m. on weekdays, and it was like they called it like the Fantastic World of Hanna-Barbera, and it would
The
be
World of
like
Super Adventure.
yes, World's Adventure. So
Yes.
it would be like Birdman
Mm-hmm.
and the Herculoids, but in the opening credits, they would have footage of a Fantastic Four episode with Galactus.
Yes.
And there was like two Fantastic Four episodes, and every morning I'd be like, "Will this be the morning I see the Fantastic Four episode?" And it happened once.
Wow. It never even happened to me. It was always Herculoids or that goddamn genie with the two kids.
Oh God, Shazam! And
Yeah.
the friggin' camel that went.
Yeah, it was always, and I don't hate Herculoids and I don't hate Space Ghost, but I was always like
The genie sucked. And
the
those kids also had rings they put together to summon the
to
genie.
summon the genie.
That was a thing.
That's a show that I'm like, people say, what are your Grail tapes? What are you looking for? And I'm like, you wouldn't know it if I said it. But I'm like,
Yeah,
all right, I'm looking for reruns of Hanna-Barbera's World of Super Adventure, you know, TV
that was
38,
mine.
the movie
Yep.
Loft with Dana
Jabberwocky.
Hersey,
Do you remember Jabberwocky?
the Michael Palin,
No.
the cartoon.
Channel 5 in Boston had a kids show called Jabberwocky in the 70s.
Oh,
And it was the first thing ever that Jo Beth Williams from Poltergeist did. She's from the Boston area. She hosted it. And it was like weird puppets and cartoons. And they used to air it at like 5 in the morning in the 80s. They'd do like a Land of the Lost rerun in Jabberwocky. It was on around the time Captain Bob would be on, if you remember Captain Bob,
wow.
which was an old sea captain teaching kids how to draw fish.
You know what the problem is with trying to collect old Johnny Carsons is again the mentality at the time was this is on every night.
Hmm.
It's not special. It's just part of the fabric of our culture. And people they weren't thinking of it as a show unto itself. They were like, who's on tonight? So like
Yeah.
So I have like I find a lot of mixtapes or potpourri tapes where it's like it's a dude doing hula hoop tricks on Carson, or a guy playing glasses, or like Dolly Parton, which if it's a musical performance, it's like, oh well, holy shit, because that stuff doesn't get rerun, and
Right.
when they were releasing DVDs, they ain't,
Right.
Um, I honestly almost annually, because I still have the email address from when Carson's nephew was like producing, until they finally just dumped it all on either Antenna
TV
TV
or
or
yeah, yeah.
on Pluto, I would send an email begging them to please release more DVD sets, and please release episodes of the show with guest hosts.
Yeah. Which Carson would never do.
Oh my God, no. But now it's like it's such a part of history. But
I mean, I was even surprised they had the footage of Albert Brooks guest hosting in that Albert Brooks documentary because I'm like, who even got that for them?
well, they everything they have in the salt mine, they have digitized and they have it on a server. Like Mark Malkoff, who like literally wrote the
Oh
book
yeah,
on
Mark's been on the
Carson.
show. Yeah, yeah,
He's got access to that. Um, but like, I'm a hunter. I want
yeah. I
to.
remember that. So when I moved back to England after going to school there,
Uh-huh.
it's a long story, but I was supposed to have a job that fell through because of a visa thing. But it was you have to pay for a TV license in the UK. You can't have a TV without buying a license.
Really?
And yep, and
What's the explanation on that?
because that's what funded the BBC. No
Oh,
commercials.
interesting.
And it's funny too because like a color TV was more than a black and white TV. If you're blind, you paid less. It's like but they used to literally have guys that would drive around in vans that could detect televisions, and it's like unlicensed TVs, and you get fined and stuff. But as a result, technically the taxpayers and the license fee payers own or have access to all the programming. So in 2002, the BBC was like, we're digitizing everything. We're going to put it in a big server, and then people can go in and watch whatever they want because it's their programs. They paid for it.
Yeah.
So, which they kind of do have now, but you have to have a UK IP address, the BBC iPlayer. But just the concept of that, I was like, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
they kept everything, but that's unusual.
I mean, it's such a sin how much of the culture is gone because of, a lack of, I don't know, foresight or
It was made to be disposable. I mean,
yeah,
like just it could cost money to store that stuff. They were like, why would I pay for
sure.
this?
And to think now it's like, because now we're back there. There really is only this few decades where people were like, oh, I can record it and have it.
Yeah,
And it's like, and then there was this dip in the millennium, and now it does feel like we might be circling back to, because I don't know about you, but like on my feed, I have like I've come across a lot of people who are like they have the Netflix plugged into the VCR, and they're like, I like this show, it's going to disappear, now I
yeah,
have it,
yeah. Oh yeah, because we don't we know that those things just disappear and don't trust them.
yeah,
And it's a weird place to be because in some respect you have access to everything. I remember CTV in Canada, which is one of the reasons I got a VPN. They had, I think they still have it, this amazing streaming service, and it's free. And they had shows that were impossible to find. There was a pre-designing women Linda Bloodworth Thomason show called Filthy Rich that was most of the cast of Designing Women. It was kind of like a soap rip,
mm-hmm,
only aired one time. They had it all in master tape quality. Every episode of It's Your Move in master tape quality. It's like a lot of those shows that have recently gotten upgrades on like YouTube or in the blue on like the bootleg sites are from that. But at the same time, those could be gone in a second. So it's like you have
yeah.
access to Studio Masters streaming sometimes, but then they're just gone.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was in New York, Midtown Comics, the one right there in Times Square,
Oh yeah,
it's basically, I mean, they still, God bless them, they still sell comic books, they still have trades, but it's, at a certain point, it became a Funko Pop store.
Yeah, that's a lot of comic shops.
Yeah.
K-pop and
And
Funko Pops.
buddy, but when I was there in the late 90s, early 2000s, as soon as you walked in, it was a wall of bootleg DVDs.
Hmm.
And I have so much stuff here. Like that was where I found my first copy of Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park,
Yep, that
or
was a classic bootleg.
yeah, like a bunch of like the last couple weeks of Johnny Carson Tonight
Yep,
shows.
Star Wars holiday special, all
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
oh,
Yeah.
buddy. But there was a sitcom called The Charmings. Do you remember
Oh yeah,
this?
The Charmings, 2 seasons, two different Snow Whites.
It actually went 2 seasons, if we
Yep.
can believe it.
Yeah, I loved it. Was
I
on Friday
loved
nights
it. I
after Mr.
loved it.
Belvedere.
If you don't know what this show is, it is the Happily Ever After. So now it's
Hmm.
become a sitcom where it's Snow White, Prince Charming, and the dwarves. They're the wicked stepmother's there. The mirror, played by, oh, what's his name? Paul Yes,
Winfrey.
yes, you nailed it. Yes, God, is that show funny? And that, but of course, the DVD I have, it's like maybe like 4 random episodes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to find them all. The most of those are impossible to find. The Charmings was one I looked for when Parker Lewis was one that was a holy grail of mine.
Yes.
Pete and Pete was one of the first ones
Hmm.
I tried to get bootlegs of. Kid Video
Yep.
was a big one.
I also
Um,
loved Nearly Departed.
oh yeah, that was a difficult one
Really funny
with
show.
from
Eric
Monty
Idle.
Python, Eric Idle,
Yeah.
and Ryan from Monster Squad's younger brother was in that show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was the kid on the show.
You'll appreciate this. I Because there's no like TV edits of movies hardly anymore.
No.
I wanted to show my son Monster Squad, but I'm like, I wasn't crazy about the sexualization of the sister, but
Yep.
all the homophobic slurs, I was like, no way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck it. So I put it into CapCut.
Ripped it. Yeah.
I just, made it a little more, and we watched it, and he loves it.
A
It's
friend
just
of
like,
mine showed his kid that, and the kid was very upset because of the slur use, not because of the slur use necessarily, but this kid goes, well, he would only call him that if he's actually gay. So why are they mad that he's gay? Because this is how kids see things now. They're like,
yeah,
what's the problem with that?
wow, yeah,
There were people who made whole careers being the sound alike for TV edits. Dave Coulier was the sound alike for Bill Murray, for Eddie Murphy, and for Richard Pryor in a bunch of TV edits.
that's tremendous. Well, I think famously Anthony Hopkins, when they found film elements from Spartacus, they didn't have the soundtrack, so he did Laurence Olivier.
Yeah,
It's tremendous.
yeah. I when I had Alex Repo Man's probably my favorite movie of all time, and I had Alex Cox on the show, and I had heard infamously about the Melon Farmer cut of Repo Man, which is Repo Man is
Oh,
the
yeah.
greatest example of TV edit. And on the Criterion discs, they have the TV edit on there called the Melon Farmer cut. So instead of motherfucker, it's Melon Farmer, and just like a bunch of stuff like that. So I had heard that Alex Cox was like, thought it was ridiculous that they were doing that. So he asked if he could do the edit himself and write the new swear replacements, which he was like, that's not entirely true. He's like, basically what happened was Universal hated him. They lost a shit ton of money on Repo Man, even though it didn't cost a lot of money. And so they were like, we need to make money back on this. This is before the soundtrack took off. So we're like desperately trying to do a TV edit of this so we can sell it into TV. They
Hmm.
shot new footage of like a devil coming out of the car license plate. Like they tried everything and nothing worked. Because once they cut everything out, the movie was like 60 minutes. So they called him and basically like begged him, can you come edit this, re-edit this for us? And he hired Dick Rude, who's one of the guys in the movie. He's like, you're the dialogue producer or something. So he came up with all those things. So yeah, Melon Farmer, Forget You, Flip You.
Yeah.
There's at the end when the girl's like, you dick, in the TV credit, she goes, you nerd.
You know what I am on the lookout for too is I think Pulp Fiction aired on VH1.
Hmm.
I think it was VH1, but the TV edit of that is fascinating. All I remember, and I felt like this worked better than the theatrical cut, when Uma Thurman is out there about to OD, and John Travolta is in the bathroom and he's talking to himself in the mirror. He goes, in the movie, he goes, "You're going to go home, jerk off, and that's all you're going to do." And he makes the jerk off hand motion. In the TV edit, he goes, "You're going to go home, cool off, and that's all you're going to do."
That's funnier.
It's so much funnier.
Yeah.
It's better.
Yeah. So
I've
the
never
one
been I've never been able to find that. Because again,
we
at the
might
time, you're like, why would I tape Pulp
why would I
Fiction off
tape that?
TV?
Yeah. I remember I taped Fast Times off TV because there was a bunch of the scenes that weren't in the VHS tape,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
that had some great replacements. But I we might have talked about this when you were on, but my favorite is they would actually shoot alternate footage, not just redubbed. So like Return of the Living Dead, infamously,
Uh
the character has a jacket that says "fuck you" on the back. It's like a varsity jacket, and in like varsity letters, the back says "fuck you."
yeah.
And Freddy, and like you can't show that, and you're not going to blur it in the whole movie. So they made another version of the jacket, and they shot all his scenes twice, and the jacket in the other version says TV version. And it's amazing. And I want a jacket of that says TV version. And
Oh
it
my
is on the TV
God.
version cut. All his scenes, which people wouldn't be as impressed by now because they're like, oh, they probably just CG'd. They're like, no, they had to shoot everything twice
Right.
with a jacket that says TV version on the back.
I have a copy of Ghostbusters I found from like NBC or CBS, and it's incredible. The alternate takes. Um, it's mostly Bill Murray, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
you can almost sense, and especially maybe it's I'm projecting onto him because we know he can be a bit of a miserable prick.
Yeah,
He doesn't seem excited during those takes as compared to the actual movie,
I'm sure.
but it's fascinating.
Yeah. Because we never saw that stuff before. There was no like
No.
deleted scenes on stuff. You didn't, it just didn't, you didn't, you'd read about it in Video Watchdog or
Hmm.
Starlog or something. And so to just have those is so weird.
And
Or the
now it's
Goonies,
gone. Yeah.
infamously, Goonies had two scenes that were in the TV version that with an octopus and another scene.
Right.
And you would tell people, they're like, "You're a liar. That's not in the movie." And they'd rent it, and I'm like, "It's not in the movie, you liar."
You know what? I should go back and watch my Blu-ray of One Crazy Summer because like I have it and I don't know if I've ever watched it,
That's good.
but the video I have of it is from WLVI. So I'm like that, and that's the version of the movie I'm most used
Yeah.
to. So I wonder how much I'm like I've forgotten or never even realized was there to begin with.
Did I show you all the stuff I have from that movie?
No, you have like
I have
stuff
like
from the shoot.
25 animation cells from the
Fuck
animated sections. I'll send you.
off,
I'll email you. Some
please.
of them are up here, but I have them all like framed upstairs. Yeah, because they shot it here. So like as a kid, I went
Yeah.
and saw them shoot a little bit of it in Hyannis. Um, and
That's
there's a
like that's the most
really great
surreal
stories.
thing I can imagine because it's like because part of that movie is them watching them shoot foam
Yeah,
or
giant
foam
dolphin with
2,
rabies. Yeah,
the giant dolphin with rabies. So
and
you're
bobcats.
watching them.
Watching them do that. Bobcat stories that Curtis Armstrong I've had on the show as well, and he has this hilarious story. They would go out on when they weren't shooting, they'd go up to Boston and hang out. And Bobcat knew Tony V and all the comics up there, so they'd go hang out.
Yeah.
And the only person who was famous in quotes at that time was Curtis Armstrong because everyone knew him from Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
So he's like, so we'd be in Boston going to bars, and everyone would be like, "Boga, fucking Boga," like all this stuff. It's amazing. I love that movie. I love that
Love
movie.
that movie. I think he Mark Metcalf,
Yeah.
he's better in that than maybe in Animal House.
Hi, Daddy.
Hello, Daddy.
That miserable old man.
Such a
I
fucking
can wear
heel.
that anywhere.
Yeah. God. Yeah, I love that movie. Um
Actually, can I share stuff in the Zoom? Let me look. I'll look 1 second. Um, Sorry, go ahead.
I wonder if I need to give you permission. Let me see. I'll make you
It'll
a
take me a minute.
co-host.
It'll take me a minute to find. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, when I got these, it was like I can die now. My life is complete.
That's tremendous. I mean, because I first saw Better Off Dead at my cousin's house. My cousins that we don't talk to, but they owned a video store in Little Compton, Rhode Island.
Oh, nice.
And like actually they lived like a house or two away from Ard
Art,
Marine.
I was going to ask you about Arden
Yeah,
rented movies there.
because my cousins babysat her apparently. But
That's
again, it's
funny.
like my dad and his brother don't talk, so it's kind of like there's
It's New
no.
England.
It's so New England, right? But again, but I'm doing this podcast, and I'm like, maybe I could call my cousin Patrick. He was the most normal of all of them, you know. Maybe he would. He's a funny guy. He probably has some good stories.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, like I reached out to him, like because when my parents moved, of course, I'm like you talk about TV stations, like guys like us grabbing the tapes and taping stuff and preserving
yeah,
the shit. In our family, I'm pulling VHS out of the basement, being like, Michael's high school graduation is here. There's footage of Nana here, you
yeah.
know?
People don't care. They're like, yeah, whatever.
I sent my family on the family thread like footage from my parents' 25th wedding anniversary, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't even know that this existed." I'm like, "Jesus fucking Christ, guys.
Why did you get it filmed then?
It's a wonder I'm here at all."
Yeah, yeah. They weren't just like, what do we need him for?
Oh, my God. Um Before we wrap this up, and I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
again, we could do this forever.
Oh, I'm gonna send you one thing. So here's a funny story while I'm looking for that. So Bozo the Clown, they had a version in Boston. Did I tell
Yeah.
you this story before?
No.
Hold on, is it in the chat? I can share a photo. Um, and they had a version in Boston. Oh, I can't upload a picture.
Can't you?
Uh, um, Let me for some reason.
I made you a co-host.
Um, let's see. Try again. From my computer. No, only my Google Drive or SharePoint. Weird. Um, all right. I'll email it to you after then, I guess.
Okay.
So my dad had always been like, me and your Uncle Jamie, when we were kids, we were on Bozo the Clown, and like told this story forever. And Bozo the Clown was on every week for decades. There's hundreds of episodes of the Boston Bozo the Clown.
Mm-hmm.
So I got 12 episodes of Bozo the Clown, and I'm watching them, and this is 1964, and third one in, boom, there they are. So I had a screenshot and I had it printed out, and everyone's in black and white except my uncle and my dad and Bozo, and it's like a really cool. I have a version of it up there, and
Uh-huh.
I showed it to them, and they were like, "How the hell did you get this?" And it was just pure dumb luck that like the version, like the third episode of the ones I had, happened to be the one. Um, oh, here they are. Yeah, can I share my screen? Hold on, let me try this. Sorry. Where's share? Is share here? More. No, I don't see share. Weird.
Here, hold on. Let me.
Oh, here's share.
Okay, try that.
Um, is that showing up?
Oh, tremendous.
Yeah, so these are ones I have.
Wow.
I have about 20.
And where'd you
Um,
get these?
so the guy who worked on them years ago, I was in a bunch of like message board groups and stuff for One Crazy Summer and a bunch of other stuff. And the guy who worked on it was like, I got all those things. You want them? So he just sent me like a friggin' box of them.
Just not
Yeah.
even just for free.
Yep.
Oh,
And these aren't the greatest scans of them, but yeah, I have
yeah.
all these. Oh, let me show you the Bozo thing while I have this up. Um, Bozo was here. Hold on. Thank you for putting up with this. Oh,
No,
here's Bozo.
it's like scrolling through my brain.
So this is the Bozo screenshot. This is my dad here and
Now,
my Uncle
how did
Jamie.
you recognize them?
Oh, they look exactly the same. And my dad was a little blonde kid, and my Uncle Jamie was a little chubby kid who looked like Pugsley Adams, and he's Butch for the day. And I remember my dad telling me Jamie got to be Butch for the day, and he's Butch for the day in this episode. And at the end of the episode, my dad, who's very like reserved, this robot comes out dancing to a song called Chicken Curry. And as the credits start to roll, you see my dad, he's probably 7 here, like can't control it anymore. And he gets up and he just starts dancing, like furiously dancing with this robot to a song that's going chicken curry. And this robot, it's so weird. And yeah, I managed to find this thing. So I had this printed on canvas for them, and they then framed it.
That's
Um,
incredible.
I was like, yeah, there they are.
Wow. What a discovery, huh?
I was so proud of that one. I was like, the chances of finding this were very, very slim.
It's meant to be.
Although now, like guests on the show, I'll always, if like there's an ad and a TV guide with them, I'll
Hmm.
always shoot it over to them, being like, I don't know if you keep this stuff. And everyone's like, oh my God, I haven't seen this in forever. Or like a lot of people have been like, if you ever find this movie, I was in this thing, if you ever find it. And I've found a lot of them, which is always kind of fun.
You ever hear of Marvin of the movies?
No.
So there's a guy out here who, again, it was like, I think that I'll send you the YouTube video about him. He he was taking he was lost his job. His wife got sick. He's taking care of his wife, and to pass the time, he gets a VCR. And when this videographer caught up with him, he was trying to catalog everything he had, and he was somewhere in the 40,000 range
Jesus.
of tapes he had, but he had so much stuff, and so many like serials, that it was like a lot of it was one of a kind. And he tells a story about like, because Leonard Maltin mentioned this guy and was like, the studios wouldn't send copies of stuff to huge actors and
Oh yeah.
celebrities. So they would go to this guy instead because he had everything. And he tells a story about getting a phone call saying, I got somebody who's looking for a copy of a movie called The Manchurian Candidate. And he's like, yeah, yeah, I have that. And he says the person on the other end of the phone goes, yeah, Frank, he's got it. But I met one of his sons, um, who was selling tapes out of a storage locker not too far from where I live in Van Nuys. And so I have a bunch of his tapes. Like I was like, it was overwhelming.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
And so I was like, tell you what, I'll I'll just buy 2 boxes of tapes, just and not need to know what's in them. And knowing that I'm walking away with probably around like 200 tapes for basically nothing. And this great Laserdisc player that I have for like, I'm like $25 for
Is it a
everything.
Pioneer Elite?
Let me see. Yeah.
Oh, yep, those are always the top end. They flipped. You didn't have to flip it.
Yeah,
It had a
it flips
flipper on both
itself.
sides. Yeah, it's part of the Pioneer Elite.
Yeah.
EV601, I think, might have been the model.
This
If I
is
remember.
a CLD 2080.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
It's real nice, Ken.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Um,
The coolest celebrity things that I've had that people owned was do you know who Dave Stevens was?
I don't know.
He created the Rocketeer. He sort of is credited with making Betty
Okay.
Page popular in the 80s.
Yeah.
Sort of a good girl pinup artist guy. When he died, they sold his books from his estate, and I have his reference books of ray guns and one of old radios and old TVs that were his.
Wow.
Steve Albini, there's a website called Steve Albini's Closet, and they sell his stuff. I have his 7-inch record of the single by band The Sound, which is one of my favorite bands of all time, and a Soundgarden single of his that for Rooms Thousand Years Wide, and an Astro Boy thing that was his. And when Annette Funicello died, They sold a bunch of her stuff to benefit, I think she had MS, like some
I
charity.
think she did, yeah.
I have all of her Back to the Beach stuff.
Fuck off.
And it has like certificates. I get all, I'm like, oh, so good. I have like her copy of the soundtrack and like promo stuff. I love that movie.
I am such a fan of the beach movie. I have almost the complete like the midnight movies
Oh yeah,
that
the MGM,
yeah, that
yeah,
MGM put out. So like I've got almost like the full run of these. Um and some of the beach movies are some of the only missing pieces. Like I have them
yeah,
on disc, but it doesn't have the banner, you
yeah.
know?
Ghost in the Invisible Bikini and all that.
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, I have
Um
her Back to the Beach stuff.
you know what, you'll like this. I think it's up there. I might have moved it. Because of course, I like, you start running out of space, then you're like, all
Oh
right,
yeah,
I got to
totally.
pare down, I got to move stuff around, I got to rearrange. I went to an estate sale at a house Clint Eastwood used to live in. It was the first house he ever bought out here in LA. And then in 1981 or 2, he sold it to a producer, and then not long after that, they kind of had a falling out. But this guy kept the house completely the way that Clint had it, right? So then, by the time we get there, everybody's like, "This is Clint Eastwood stuff,"
Yeah,
which was half true. But I saw a Betamax player that I was like, it's going to cost me more to get this thing fixed, and I'm like, this thing's been sitting here for
oh, the
decades.
rubber's all dried out. Yeah,
So, but there were some Betamax tapes, and I was like, all right, I'm going to grab these. One of them is Clint's copy of the trailer and a production reel for Sudden Impact.
oh nice.
Yeah, and the production reel, it's frankly, it's better than the movie because it's just the key scenes. Like it's got the opening scene in the diner where he's
Cut
like,
all the garbage out.
you cut all the garbage out. All that movie needed to be was just 20 minutes. It's tremendous. But again, at the beginning, you get the countdown clock, and then the editor just being like, "Sudden impact, production reel."
Take one.
Yeah, it's fucking great. Yeah, it's one of
Having that
those
stuff is
things.
so fun. I have
I know.
I have a tea set from Drop Dead Fred over here, which you can't see. It's like a screen used like children's tea set. I got it in a little case.
Tremendous, tremendous. My God.
This TV guide back here is signed by Emmanuel Lewis with Emmanuel Lewis on the cover.
Could you imagine? You're like, and this TV guide with the cast of Perfect Strangers, signed by Emmanuel Lewis.
Yeah. Why do you want me to sign this? Don't worry about it.
I got my reasons.
I used to do a thing on my show, on a weekly live show I had called Secret Menu, and I used to do this thing called the Damaged Goods Auction. And a comic would come on the show with something they own, usually something that like of no value, and
Uh-huh.
tell the story of it, like how they got whatever it was. And then we'd
Yeah.
auction it to the audience with like a certificate of authenticity. And it was really fun. And people would spend like tons of money because they would get like super excited. And depending on the story, like one guy was drunk one night and he bought a Santa suit online. So it was like the Santa suit. But this one kid had the greatest thing and it sold for a lot of money. He was at spring training for the Red Sox in 2004, and he had a spring training program signed by the entire team and Judge Judy, which made it worthless. Like no sports fan wanted it, and it was Judge Judy was down there, and he's like handing it to the players to sign, and she just grabbed it and signed it, handed it to him. So he sold it at this show. It was so funny. I
God
was
in
like, you
fucking
just made that
heaven.
worthless. But to me, that's like the greatest thing ever of like
That is,
random
it's
people.
such a better story.
100%.
Oh my God. Um, all right. Since we're doing this, like I found this at an estate sale. I couldn't believe my fucking eyes. Um, to Sam, best wishes, Johnny Carson.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Isn't that unbelievable?
That's really cool.
And again, it's like we're at a point now where it's kind of like people are like, who?
Yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I was saying it to someone the other day. It was like the Here's Johnny in The Shining. People don't know
People don't
that's a
fucking
reference.
know.
They don't know what that's from.
I mention it as often as I can on my channel. Dude, I'm past the point of being the guy who's like, you don't fucking know that, to
Oh yeah.
come in here, please. I want to
Yeah.
help.
I can tell you.
I posted Twin Peaks yesterday, and one of the comments was, "Is that the guy from Fallout?" And
Yes, it is.
I was like, yes, it is. Come on in.
You'll love it.
You would love, if you like Fallout, you will fucking like Twin Peaks.
Yep. Yeah.
Get in here. We've been waiting for you.
And you can watch it anytime you want. I remember I bought the box set, the VHS box set. So I used to be in a band, and when we tour, they hated me because I'd make a stop at every video store, and I'd get a card from every video store, and
Oh,
I'd search to the previewed tapes. And I remember we were in Long Island,
uh-huh.
and we went to a Tower Records and Video, and I got Near Dark on VHS,
Amazing.
and I got the SP box set of Twin Peaks complete series.
Wow.
And I was so like I was like, I can die a happy man now.
And it didn't have the pilot, right?
No, didn't have the pilot movie. That
Yeah.
was separate with the ending and all that on it. I
Yeah.
had that because that was pretty easy to find, but the
Yeah, the rest of the
official
show.
release box set.
And Near Dark, that VHS was the only way to watch it for a
Yep.
long time.
Yep.
Until
It
like
was sealed.
maybe last year.
Yeah, even the Blu-ray is awful. The DVD's the best version of it that's been out there.
That tremendous.
Yeah.
Do you still have all those membership cards to video
Yeah, I
stores?
do. I have them in a box somewhere. I scanned a bunch of them. And I have a bunch of pictures of some of the old video stores. Movies on Video, there's a bunch of pictures I have.
Wow. I don't have many. I just keep them all in my wallet.
My wallet was too full.
Buddy, I have a Costanza wallet at this point,
Yeah.
and it's just because of the video card memberships.
Yeah.
But here's an idea. Here's a pitch. I was at Staples. I didn't know, it has to be like a big Staples, not like one of the pared down ones. I didn't know that these existed. There are sheets you can buy, like, those binders for baseball cards where
Yeah.
you put them in the sleeves, for business cards.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, this would be perfect if I was able to track down membership cards for video stores,
100%. Yeah.
right?
That would be great.
Here's my last question. Okay. When you were growing up, and that can be any period of time that you choose, how many of the video stores that you used to go to can you name?
Oh, quite a few. Probably I'll have to count them as I name them.
Well, just name them, and then we'll count them in post.
Okay. So Video VIP in
Uh-huh.
Wakefield, Video Update, um, Video Oasis, which was in Cambridge, Movies on Video, Video Gallery, Endless Video, which became Blockbuster Video after that, Hollywood Video, which is an easy one. Those were the ones in my town. There was in Rhode Island in Narragansett. What was that place called? There was an amazing video store at the Ocean Plaza. Um, so this video store, damn it, I can't remember the name of it, but it was next to where the Stop and Shop is in the sea. I think it's called like the Sea Breeze Shopping Center in Narragansett. But
Uh-huh.
this store, they won or like bought the most full moon movie titles, so they got like all these premiums from full moon. So in the center of the store they had the bloodstone from Subspecies like in a
Uh-huh.
case, and like one of the Puppet Master puppets, and like a bunch of like stuff from full moon. I cannot remember what the name of that store was. Palmer Video, that was in Somerville. um West Coast Video, there was a couple of West Coast Video locations that we would go to. Um, and Video Smith, that was attached to Booksmith. That's where I had to rent Eraserhead. That store was in Brookline, Mass. I had to take two buses and a train to rent Eraserhead, watch it, take two buses and a train back the next day to return it. That was Video Smith. And I think that might be all the ones I can think of.
Ken Reid, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm hitting record. I'm at the. I am outside of Static Tape Video in Muskegon, Michigan, where I am hoping to talk to the owner, Harrison, that I connected with on Instagram. And we were at the Lakes Mall. So it's about 8:30 in the morning. I was in Detroit. I was in Royal Oak, and got up about 5 in the morning and just started driving. I drove clear across the entire state of Michigan. So we're going to see what's going on. Okay, so this is Matt. This is really Matt. I walked into the Lake Mall, and I didn't really know what to the Lakes Mall in Muskegon, Michigan, and I really didn't know what to expect. I didn't even know if it was going to be open. I didn't know what this convention was going to be like, and it, first of all, it really was like a mall, that's so many of these places are dead, and they ain't running anymore. And as soon as I walked in, I saw all the tables getting set up, and there was a stage. It appears a stage is being erected, to pull a line from Mallrats. But so I went into static tape video, and a gentleman helped point me out to where the owner Harrison was, and it was kind of funny because at first he was like. He just kind of pointed him out to me, and in my head I was like, oh, he's right over there. Which guy? The one in the black t-shirt with the horror movie on the front of the shirt? Which was everybody there. But at any rate.
Are you his wife?
I am.
I'm Matt.
Kate.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
Good.
After he moves the table.
Sure.
Yes, hi.
I'm Matt McCarthy. We talked on Instagram.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Hello, yeah, hi.
I'm good. How you
Oh my
doing?
gosh, yeah, you made quite the long trip early this morning.
I
Okay,
did,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're busy, but I mean,
Yeah.
if you find a little time, we can just talk for a little while.
Yeah, maybe in a little bit. Yeah, I could do a quick little blurb or something. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah.
So I could tell Harrison was busy. This was a big undertaking. This was a big, this was a legit convention happening here, and a big tape swap. And it was right in the concourse of the mall. Most of the stores weren't even open yet. It was early in the morning. So I just kind of walked around, and I went to grab some coffee. And then all of a sudden I heard somebody say, hey, are you Matt McCarthy? And I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, you just bought a videotape for me. And I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up. So pull out my my microphone and had a quick conversation with my buddy Bruce. Boom, ready to go. How fun is this? Tell the kids who you are and what you do.
Hi, my name is Bruce, otherwise known as Bloody Knife Video online. I sell tapes. I specialize in horror and action VHS tapes.
This is so fun, and we just ran into each other. I was going to talk to Harrison for a second. Do you have a booth set up and stuff? Or do you?
I don't know.
Hanging out?
I'm just here to hang out with some buddies who I don't see too often, and hopefully find a crazy tape,
So let me ask you, what's your earliest memory of like going to a video store or getting a VCR? What came first for you? Did you just grow up with it, or?
My earliest memory of any kind of media, my family had a VCR. My dad was a police officer, and he would bring home screeners from the video store in the town that he was a cop in, and movie posters. And that was how we would watch tapes. So we were used to the letters on the screen, the words coming up, and so now I have kind of like this appreciation for screeners.
Did it have something to do with being a cop, or what? What was the deal?
I don't know.
I don't know the deal.
I don't know if I don't think he was like, just getting hooked up for whatever reason. It's not like he was like,
Right.
no comment.
Who knows? That's hilarious.
Anyway, but Svengoolie was like the local Chicago horror host. That is kind of how I got into horror. Cause
Where'd you grow up?
outside of Chicago suburbs. But Night of the Living Dead, first horror movie I saw, and then thrift stores were, that was how you found tapes back in the day. But the first video store I remember was, I don't remember what it was called, but it was a local spot, kind of a seedy part of town, and I was hooked on the horror section, just staring at horror tapes, Yeah.
I know that's
never allowed to rent anything I wanted.
No, that was part of it. The just the covers alone, it was like that was enough to ruin my night.
Yeah.
What? So then, when did you ever work in a video store or anything?
I did not. No, I never. No, I worked in construction, pizza places. Never anything like that.
Did you guys collect tapes or tape stuff off TV?
I taped stuff off TV, but I collected tapes because that was just the convenient way to watch movies. At a
Watch
certain
it anytime you want, then.
Yeah. But I didn't collect tapes like I do now until 2013, 2012.
Really, that late? Feels like that's when they might have started starting to suddenly they're worth something again.
Yeah, I think in the last few years for sure, but at that point they were still reasonably, not.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Yeah, but when I was in college, I was fucking not even thinking about VHS tapes at that point, But
that was around the time, I remember because I was in New York, but I was out in Huntington Beach visiting a friend. I was doing shows in LA, and he was like, "Oh, there's a flea market. We should go." And I just grabbed a couple of tapes that I was like, "Oh, these look stupid." And of course, it was nothing. And then looking back, it was Chopping Mall. And it's a bunch of shit that's so
interesting. Yeah.
What was the first tape you owned? Do you know?
The earliest tape that I still own is an Airwalk compilation tape that I got with a pair of Skechers. No, wait, they were Jenko brand shoes that I got from a skate shop in 1996, and they gave me a free complimentary Airwalk video. That
was it a skating video?
There's skateboarding, snowboarding, music videos. It's super corny, but held on to that somehow.
That's fucking great.
Or I guess some childhood tapes, but that's the memorable one.
Yeah, that's great. So when did you get into selling tapes?
At a certain point, my intake was just I was damn, I have so many, and I grew up reselling. I grew up in a flea market family, so I always knew how to find money in things, if that makes sense. So I was I've got plenty of stock. I might as well try selling stuff online, which I had never done. I only sold in person, which now I don't like selling tapes in person. I prefer selling them online. And so 2018, I think, 2017 or 2018, started Bloody Knife Video, and it was just a little way to make a little extra money to pay for tapes, and it's become my full-time business.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Isn't that fucking great?
Yeah, it's fun.
Wow.
I've met amazing people, really, the VHS community. It's the people that we are able to connect with that otherwise we would just be hundreds of miles away and not even know about each other,
No kidding. Tell the kids about, I saw you posted a very interesting looking Disney video that I'd never heard of. That was...
Oh, yes.
Tell them about that.
Last House on Dead End Street. It's a Roger Watkins movie. I think that's the name of the director, but very famous exploitation movie. I highly recommend it. This is the Disney release. I guess the audience cannot see me doing this with my hands, but
Air quotes.
yeah, I have a big box of copies if anybody's looking. So
That's great.
no, it's gotten...
But you made the cover and stuff,
I
right?
did not make it. No. I don't know.
Oh, you just have it.
That, these old bootlegs. Someone's gonna get mad about someone bootlegging something. I'm just gonna bootleg someone's bootleg. So I used bootlegged artwork, but I sourced the copy from my own original copy of the movie. Yeah,
That's tremendous.
I do have a few copies available. Yeah.
That's fucking great.
Yeah, that's a world that I'm aware of, that I'm kind of dipping my toes in.
What world is that?
Bootlegging.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to include this at all, but
Whatever you're comfortable talking about.
yeah, I don't really know the legalities of it, or it's kind of a gray area.
It's a completely dead medium and a niche, whatever word, market, So I'm like, I can't imagine.
People get C&Ds. People get C&Ds. Really? Oh yeah, I mean, because you're fucking bootlegging goddamn Disney movies and posting it.
See, that I could see. That I could see.
Right.
Yeah, and there's like kind of a moral dilemma I have with it. Using other people's artwork for my own profit. Obviously, but gotta pay rent.
Hey, man. We're all just trying to eat.
Pay rent. We're just a bunch of weirdos trying to pay rent.
No kidding. Anything you're looking for today? Anything specific?
At this point, anything that I don't have that's super crazy rare that is at a good deal. Yeah. If you know what I mean, because I'm very content with my collection. But if I see something, I don't even know any titles off the top of my head. I don't want to say Quaded Zone or Black Devil Doll from Hell. But those, I'm like pretty pissed that I didn't acquire those in the last few years before they've jumped to where they're at now.
Those two, it fascinates me because it's like, there's a situation where I'm like, those are things I've never heard of.
Okay.
No, but until I started buying tapes, and then it was like, oh, these are the most valuable tapes or most sought after tapes.
Really frustrating. It's really frustrating. It's like a collector of shot on video.
Yeah.
Shot on video it's valuable for a bunch of different reasons, and they all make sense when you look at it.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating. It's fucking frustrating. Like the thing you collect is.
But I just
$1,000.
I guess it's like assigning value to anything, but it does. It just makes my brain twitch. Where I'm like, why those two fucking things? What do you think?
Low production numbers. There's a taboo with Black Devil Doll from Hell, but at a certain point there was a documentary made about VHS collecting.
Okay, now we're getting to the bottom of it.
Quaded Zone was one of the first tapes to really hit a high number on eBay, and that was kind of this weird turning point in not just the community, but VHS and how it's treated by everyone else, and a turning point. But unfortunately, those are two tapes that I need, and their popularity has grown outside of shot on video collectors to anyone who has seen a Yahoo article that's oh, VHS could $1 million in your fucking attic, because they always list Quaded Zone at the top, right past, Cinderella or some shit.
Biff Tannen's copy of Back to the Future.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. But those two, Chicago filmmaker.
Oh, were they both from Chicago? Yeah.
Turner's the guy who made them, and they're just very prime examples of shot on video. And low production numbers. I mean, I don't know how many copies there are that exist or that were made, but it's probably less than 100.
I mean, that's what's so funny because I do you know a movie called Pulse Beat?
Pulse Beat. I've heard of it. I don't think there's an American release.
I have. Again, it's I'm in the Poconos. We go to a flea market, and I'm just looking at tapes. And I just see the cover, and I'm like, oh, this looks stupid, And it's about a aerobics. And it's like clearly was like written and directed by people who were not American. So it has that kind of like, this is like, it's like Troll 2. It's like, this is what we assume Americans are like and talk like, yeah. And also clearly shot like in an active racquetball court, because there's certain scenes in the lobby where it's like, this is all overdubbed because there's just noise everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And it's the exact same plot as Dodgeball, right? So here's my thing is I'm always like, why not that movie? You know, why any other movie? I'm not expecting an answer, but I'm just as someone who's up to his ankles in this stuff. What do you think?
I'm gonna guess. Is it Pulse Beat? It's not a horror movie. So
Non-horror. So that's already the biggest strike against it.
it's not gonna draw the horror crowd that will fucking buy any horror movie. Production numbers, you know, maybe there's like more numbers, but I don't know. Like I've never seen it. I don't even know if there's an American release.
It's tremendous.
Okay.
You know who stars in it? I forget the guy's name, but he's the male lead in what's the Elvira movie?
Oh, dude, I love that. I love that movie.
He's the guy who
Mistress of the Dark.
Right. He's the
I can picture him, but I don't know his name.
Right. He's the guy who's like, "How's your head? No complaints yet." Yeah. He plays Woody Harrelson's dad in Kingpin at the beginning. It's the same actor.
Okay, yeah. I'm not super familiar with Kingpin, but I do remember seeing that movie with my dad and him laughing really hard at a few moments, and I was like, this is awkward.
I love it.
No, what movie are you just talking about?
Pulse Beat. Before that, who knows? What's your favorite movie? You got one?
Oh, gosh. It's a tie between so many. Night of the Living Dead is like such a significant movie to me. But if I'm going to put on just any movie, any given day, this is a hard question.
It's impossible. It's impossible.
It's a tie between Demons, Night of the Living Dead. Yeah, those two. Those are like
Thanks.
major movies for me. I collect them both on VHS, multiple like international releases.
Oh yeah.
I probably have the largest Demons collection in the world.
He's here, folks. We found him.
Hey guys, just so you know, I literally probably do. I'll send you photos. But also Night of the Living Dead, I have a pretty impressive collection. There's other guys who have been doing it way longer than me, but I've got
Well, I mean, that's something. There's so many because of the public domain thing.
insane amount. Yes. But it's just an interesting one to collect because like even the really like low budget releases with like no box art, those are my favorite.
It's interesting. I was reading an article in, I think, Video Watchdog, maybe, where he was talking about, like, the first time it was put out on Laserdisc, he was like, this is the first, like, decent print of the movie any of us have ever seen.
Dude, I remember watching it on DVD for the first time because I had only watched it on Svengoolie or VHS my entire life and was like, oh my God, it looks so much different. Like, you know, I don't know how old I am at this point. I'm like, oh wow, DVD looks better than VHS. Crazy. But that's interesting. That I know.
One of those things where it's like, oh, like I thought this was a really grimy, like rough movie, and then it's like, oh no, this thing's beautiful.
Yep, all the VHS releases tend to look pretty shitty.
It's all that same, whatever that one print was that they had. It might have even been 60 millimeter. I have no idea.
Oh, interesting. I don't know.
But yeah, but it was like, it was rough. Everybody was just copying the same print.
That makes sense. Yeah, totally makes sense.
That's tremendous. Yeah.
Cool. I own a few copies of it on Laserdisc. I wonder which one is the first. I never actually researched that.
I don't know if I had it in front of me. If we had Tim Lucas here, the Video Watchdog himself, he'd let us know.
Okay. Cool. Yes.
Last thing, I always want to know, how many video stores can you name that were in your area when you were growing up, or at least before?
Dude. Yeah. Fuck. I could tell you at the end of it, only one.
What was the last?
BB, that's all I'll say.
Really?
Yeah, the one that shall not be named. Yeah, I'm Blockbuster. You know, they fucking ran everyone else out of business.
Fucking ridiculous.
Family Video. That was a huge.
Oh yeah, more of a Midwest thing, right?
Huge Midwest. You can still recognize the awnings and like the where they still are. So it was always like a corner building in the parking lots. But yeah, okay. Family Video, Blockbuster. Dude, I don't even remember. I don't remember
None of the indies.
I don't remember any of the mom and pop ones. I feel like they all went out of business really early in like, because I grew up in a small town.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what the video stores were called in the small town because they were so quickly replaced by bullshit.
By bullshit.
Yeah, I don't have like a super, like early days of video stores I was like are pretty nostalgic for me because like I got to stare at VHS tapes, but like in the last few years it was just all I remember was being frustrated and I don't know, just not having like the kind of vibe that I was looking for, which then I found at the library, you know?
Yeah?
They always had like hard to find Asian horror movies and just like horror movies in general. Yeah.
What library?
I went to, fuck, dude. You're calling me out right now. I don't remember what the town, it was like a town over from me. All I remember was my girlfriend Claudia at the time. That was her library. And then that's why I started going there. And I was like, the relationship didn't work out, but I'm going to the library.
Served its purpose.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, Bruce, thank you so much for doing this, dude.
Thank you. This was awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, great to meet you, bud.
Absolutely. Nice to meet you, too. And I hope that tape works out.
That tape better fucking get there, dude. People are going to hear about bloody knife. So then the next two conversations, this is exactly what happened. I'm just walking by, and somebody's like, hey, I know you. And I'm like, let's do the pod. So here's a couple of little conversations I had with Cosmo and then my buddy Patrick. Hey, tell the kids who you are and what you do.
My name's Cosmo, and I obsess over analog media, watching it, making it, collecting it.
So what are you doing here? What's the name of your booth? Do you have?
No, I'm just I'm a pirate. I make pirate shit. Sometimes I do, like I'm working with Jim Van Bebber, the infamous creator of Deadbeat at Dawn. I'm working with him to release the Charlie's Family movie, The Manson Family. That was just in all sorts of rights hell. So I made a tape for him. All these other ones are illegal as fuck. Like that. So Manhattan Chase is Godfrey Ho's last flick. Lauren Avedon, Cynthia Rothrock. Never had a VHS release because everyone was like, bro, it's the end of the direct-to-video era. What are we going to do? So it was lost to obscurity. So yeah, we put it on tape. And yeah, I hope she likes it. I can't wait to hand her one and be like, so what was up with this, you know? But yeah, Cosmic Debris VHS on Instagram, you know, yeah.
So where do you find this stuff?
So, I mean, I make these.
Yeah. Where do you find the...
So it depends. A lot of it, too, is...
Where do you source it from?
Okay. So, like right now, he's holding Possession, the Vestron Possession. Now, the VHS Vestron Possession is very, very fucking expensive. It's like over $400. It's cut. And so it's the edited version of it. So
They cut out of it.
Get this. They cut out all of Sam and Isabel's, like, gut-wrenching, like, emotions. They made it a body horror.
They cut out the heart of the movie.
Usually it's the opposite. So I've got, like, My Bloody Valentine, shit like that, where it's like, oh, they cut out the gore. No, they made it a body horror movie. But they kept all that, like, really uncomfortable shit. Yeah. So, I mean, you can see that on Blu-ray. I mean, everyone's seen it. However, that release, that image, that slip is fucking iconic. I love it, but I want the whole experience on that. So I do the unedited version on that. Yeah. So.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then I do mixtapes and stuff. You'll love this shit since you...
Show me.
This is your jam. So these are two favorites. This one, David Desmelchian actually really loves. And actually people have done it since and after me. I'm not going to say I was the first, but I'd released this a ways back. It's Night Owls as a 1977 complete with channel changing at the beginning, commercials. I sourced all 1977 commercials from My Spleen, archive.org, my own digitizations, all 1977. So it's like actually what you do. You'd be like, oh, I got this. Now they even cut out the little things from the TV guide on there, and yeah.
That's fucking tremendous.
So
and what's this one?
This is probably the favorite thing I've ever edited. It's a, so you know those Halloween tapes? My mom's that she made was Garfield, the Halloween that almost wasn't, Charlie Brown. Like, you tape it off TV and then you watch it every fucking year. Yeah. Tape is full of all the specials. So, your cool older cousin, I was born in 83, so it would have been, like an older brother, older cousin. Yeah. Really loved MTV and Freddy Krueger. Freddy's Nightmares, all on Fox 49 KPDX. And I sourced a shit ton of KPDX commercials to intersplice. And then it switches over to like the MTV, Julie era. And then I had my dad write all of the stuff, so it has misprints and it looks but it's got 2 episodes of Freddy's Nightmares, the Halloween episodes full with commercials that aren't released on VHS anywhere else. The Freddy Krueger special, the 89 one, the Slash and Burns Freddy Krueger special, the Richard O'Brien hosting the Rocky Horror Video Show, which is awesome, and then it ends with like it was taped over, and it's the Vincent Price Halloween thriller from KPDX, 84. So it would have been like you're recording in 84, and then you're like, fuck it, I'm recording all this like MTV and cool shit over it, but then then it's the end, so it's only partial, right? I recreated the gold that you find. You know what I mean? Here, you want it? Here.
Fuck off.
Yeah, but you have to watch it.
But
it's the greatest thing I've ever made. I'm telling you.
This is
cool and fun, but that took me like 3 months of editing. I love it, dude. Yeah.
Can I tell you something that I'm working on?
Please.
Is because on my Patreon, I'll like
Video Garage thing?
Yeah, I'll do like a movie host thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh well, the anniversary of David Lynch's passing is coming up. I should like host Eraserhead.
Yeah.
But I put in, the commercial breaks. And then I was like, oh, it should just be commercials for coffee.
Dude, amazing. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I've been pushing. I was going to have it out in January, and I'm like, no, I just need to keep finding more coffee commercials.
Though?
No.
Okay. Anything
Just anything I find. Yeah. But I've also found like I was lucky enough to find a couple of promos for that other show he did on the air. Yeah. So that and then he directed a couple commercials. So I was like, oh, I need to really take my time with this.
I did a Japanese David Lynch Twin Peaks mix. I don't have it. It was like the old clamshell days, ways ago. But you can find all of it on the extras of like the gold DVD and the blues. But I have like his Japanese coffee commercial, which I'm sure you've seen. Kyle McCauley. Oh my God, dude, just fucking bonkers. But I did like coffee stain, like wrote what it was on there and like coffee stains and stuff. But if you're doing anything David Lynch, you got to include coffee commercials, dude. That's awesome.
You know what? I did the same thing with because my copy of Halloween when it aired on NBC. My son, he's 10 now. This is a few years ago, and I was like, I want you to write the label for this, and I'm like, do whatever you want. And so
it gives it legitimacy. It gives it like a real feel.
I didn't even ask him to. He drew a little pumpkin and a knife.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So I know, and like, God bless my dad. I love him so much. Yeah. But I knew that he was going to do like, you can see it on the back for sure, but there's like, so he spells Kruger wrong a couple different times. He spells like, because there's also on the front too, like Viado show. He was spelling Halloween wrong, H-O, and then he did the A, and he was just like, dude, can I just redo this? And I'm like, no, this is exact. I knew you were going to do this. I want this. Because, when you find it and you see people scribble, like, what's on there, this is what it is, man.
I have found in my collections, my collectings, no one knows how to spell Frasier.
Oh, dude. I can only imagine. Yeah, dude.
It's Frazer.
Frazer or Frazzy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Where'd you grow up?
I'm just outside Detroit. Yeah, and I traveled all over the country, hopping trains and shit for like over a decade, west, east, north, south, but came back to Detroit, got myself a nice little abandoned house, bought a house for $1,000, renovated it, beautiful, like 110-year-old house. So yeah, it's called Detroit Home, and we have our little nerdy VHS Detroit thing out there, monthly showings, and yeah, just like hang out and do this kind of stuff. Yeah.
So you grew up with it. What's your earliest memory of going to a video store?
Actually, it was grocery store. My Value Land, yeah. I mean, and then so my video stores. I think like Movie Gallery and Family Video. I think were the ones around me. But yeah, my mom and pops. The things I remember renting Nintendo games and renting movies was a drugstore and a grocery store. Value Land around the corner, and yeah, I think it was called like Arbor Drugs. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I just thought it was one stop. I thought it was that's what it was. Yeah. I realized that that was kind of like a fun, unique thing. And then yeah, when like Family Video and movie, I was like, oh, holy shit, this is like all this. Yeah.
Do you remember getting a VCR, or was it already there?
It was already there. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, my parents already had. They didn't have Betamax. They went right to VCR. But yeah, I had like uncles who had 2 VCRs. I had, you know what I mean? So I grew up dubbing, and then we eventually got 2 VCRs. I remember dubbing tapes. My mom, like I said, made the first mixtape ever, the Halloween special mixtape. I mean, and also soap operas, Beauty and the Beast. She had like every Beauty and the Beast, like blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so it just came naturally. I just figured, I mean, it's just way of life. It's not nostalgia. It's just what we grew. It's just what we fucking grew up.
That's what I try to explain to people. They're like, how'd you get into this? I'm like, by being born? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm born in 83, so it's not like I'm super, super old or like not at the tail end. This was just part of life, just the crosshairs. If it would have been anything else, yeah, maybe I'd be leaning more into video games or more into this, or but this is just what I grew up on, Yeah.
That's tremendous.
It's fucking nice to actually physically see you.
I know. I'm so happy you said what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. Dude, thank you. So
Can I get a picture of you holding it?
Oh, please.
I didn't even have to fucking ask. I knew you were going to do that. Please, yeah, watch, because so...
I will. I mean, I'll closer to Halloween.
No,
I'll make a
no.
video of it. But yeah.
Or I don't care if you make a thing out. But
I
like,
got to.
I know, but so if you want to do it around Halloween for sure.
Yeah.
The reason why I will always give and or suggest people like you this is because you will understand and know what I did. Because you'll see how are all the bumps and like, oh my heart. Oh good God.
You parked right across the street from her.
I did it on purpose. I helped Harrison. Bro, I came in first thing when they opened yesterday, and I was like, Harrison, let me help. And I did. I was helpful. I said almost all of this stuff, and then I was like, yeah, if you don't mind, because yeah, we made that tape, and then my buddy Dave has like all the Rocks.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, it'd be cool if we were like,
yeah,
right there. But yeah, how are all the bumpers from the same area? Mm-hmm. How like that local, like, because I want it to feel real as shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It starts off with the end of Friday the 13th, the series. Like you know how they like, oh, we had to record early, and it's the credits of Friday the 13th, the series. Goes in and it's like next up for I'm like, because that's how did we record back in the day, then that's what you do.
Right. Because as a wrestling fan,
yeah,
I have such a fondness for the end credits of Walker, Texas Ranger.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is too fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, later in the year when you watch it, hit me up because...
What's your handle on Instagram again?
Cosmic Debris VHS.
Cosmic Debris?
Cosmic Debris VHS, yeah. I have it's a picture of Frank Zappa. It just says Detroit. I don't have websites. I'm a sneaky little pirate, so... But yeah.
Dude, cool. Hell yeah. Nice. Thanks again. Yeah, likewise.
I don't know if I get too much, but I'm a huge fan.
Oh, shut up.
I do KZ Video Vault.
Really?
Yeah, so...
Do you want to be on my podcast real quick?
Fuck, let's do it.
Tell the kids who you are and what you do.
Sure, Patrick Hirschberger. I'm out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. I do KZ Video Vault, and you were the reason I started doing it.
Shut the fuck up. Why? What happened?
Everything a couple years ago with a beautiful election, JK, and then I you came up on my feed on TikTok, and I was like, God, I don't have any VHS. I have like 5, I was like Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, and whatever. But then like I just started daily watching you, and I was like, I need a deep dive. And then I got into tape TV because that's what you do. And then we have a plethora of around Kalamazoo and kind of the regional area. So I went from a few tapes to probably like 7,000 or 8,000. So yeah, so I've like, I started with like a collection from a small town from like 300 some wrestling tapes, and then it's just kind of from everything from people's home videos to just, which are cool, but like, just local TV,
Such a lost art, the local TV, right?
Yeah, and seeing people that like I remember as a kid watching, on the news, and you're like, oh my gosh, like you're beautiful, and not that they're older and not beautiful, but so yeah, it's. I barely watch Netflix because we don't need to. I mean, we have so much digital media.
It's so cold,
There's some good stuff, obviously.
Well, I watch Monday Night Raw, and I have they got me by the balls, you know.
Yeah. So I just find inspiration from it, and at the same time, I look at it as kind of like an armchair archivist.
Yeah, same.
A lot of this stuff does need to be preserved because so much of it gets tossed, like.
None of the stations kept any of that shit. Yeah.
Well, and people at like estate sales, there's the estate sales locally where they throw it out. If it's a home tape, they're like, no, we don't hold on to it.
Buddy, because like I don't go to like thrift stores looking for this stuff because they fucking toss it, and then and I go to the estate sales and I'm like, I do feel an obligation. If I don't grab this, it's going in a fucking landfill.
I'm buying that collection, and I'll do some research, and I'm gonna get the names of who was there, and just a little bit of research, so like I can tag the collection, digitize it, and then save it and what have you. So
I tell you, most times it's somebody running an estate sale, and they're trying to. It's rare that they try to squeeze you.
Yeah.
Usually they're pretty fair about like, oh, nobody else is coming for this, I'll charge you whatever. Only twice has the person been like, I'm just going to give this to you. Thank you, because they know it's trash. To anyone else,
Locally, there's a city called Lansing. It's the state capital in Michigan.
Okay.
And I saw on Marketplace there was this guy going through this, essentially like a 20-year-old U-Haul like storage facility. Mm-hmm. And this woman had, I think, it's a little over 1,500 tapes. And so I went out, and I have a Volvo wagon, and I couldn't see out the top, But it was like, I'm still going through it, but she and so many people have their own variety of taping, It's like, she was like, nah, channel switch, or like music video, all of a sudden it's Janet, you bounce off to a TV show, or Michael Knight, or whatever. Yeah. And some people are very organized. You get the whole movie, everything was labeled. So you just see kind of these people's personalities, which I feel like
100%.
is an embodiment of our humanity, in our media culture.
Yes. You really get to know the person, especially if they absentmindedly start flipping channels.
Oh my gosh. And you can tell they're reading through like the descriptions. They're like, I don't know, I'm going to watch this Jesus video, or maybe I'm going to go back to some like sci-fi and aliens. Who knows, Jesus or aliens, one of the two.
Where'd you say you grew up?
Kalamazoo, Michigan area.
What's your earliest memory of going to the video store?
So we had this little pharmacy. It was called Askler's, and they had just like a threefold wall, right across from the comics and all the tabloids. And so we would go down there, and I always wanted to rent like Toxic Avengers or something. I grew up in a religious household, so media was highly monitored. And so this, in a way, is kind of like living things I never got to for a lot of this stuff. But yeah, we had our local drugstore and go in there and check out some movies, and hopefully I could sneak it past my folks.
That's tremendous. What's your favorite movie? Do you have one?
When I always go back to Jackie Brown. I was a huge fan of the book series, and I feel like Tarantino really did it justice with that movie. That was a movie I've worn out a DVD. I fell asleep to. I can quote it a mile long. It's always been my favorite.
Do you have that Lionsgate 4K that they put out?
I don't.
It's fucking gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, I got to graduate into the 4K. I do have some.
Yeah.
I just have to get the player. I'm so stuck in like DVD and VHS right now.
Well, you know what? It's you're in a good spot because that stuff is just going to get cheaper,
Yeah, absolutely. And some of that stuff too, like with VHS, with all this media, right? You have like 5 different versions of it.
Right. So are you selling tapes, or what are you doing?
So we are. I got this cool little book that is of VHS stores. That's like this kind of. It's not really.
You wrote it?
I did not. I actually purchased. I ran the website out of what they had. So multiple times.
What's it called?
Oh my God! Now you're gonna put me on the spot. I'm gonna catch you later with this. I'll link you. But it's video stores that they went around and get the video store labels.
Oh, Stuck on You?
No, that one's out of. I can't get a hold of that one. That one's like, I'll find it.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, my bad. My brain's just
Stuck
blanking.
on VHS, I think I was thinking of.
And my partner Chad Burke, he does Chad Fixes Shit. He actually goes through a lot of CEDs and like fixes them and VHS and old radios and
Fixes CED players?
Yeah, we've got about maybe over 30, less than 40. We have problems. Thankfully,
I have one that worked and then stopped, and I was just like, what do I care? And then I found one, and I haven't even bothered trying it yet.
We got here this morning, and something must have jolted in the car, and so he no, it's all right. He pulled it apart and fixed it. That's what he does.
That's why we have them.
Yes, exactly. So he collects CEDs. He's trying to get all. I think there was like 1,700 of them maybe published, period.
Right.
And then I do a lot of taped TV. So he has CDs and stuff for sale. I'm just here to gab and sell a few zines and have some stickers. Oh, I do have free cheap paper copy Buscemi photos.
Perfect.
So we've got a honorable Buscemi at the table.
Where can the kids find you online?
KZoo Video Vault. We've got on our online KZoo Video Vault it's KZOO online. On Instagram, the TikToks, the Facebooks.
Man, thanks so much for saying what's up.
Thank you.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Can I get you mind
Oh,
if I do
please, I would love it.
All right.
So now at this point, the convention was open and people were walking around. There were so many cool tapes. And then I was like, you know what? I better hop on this line for the Joe Bob Briggs autograph before it gets too long. And then as I was standing there, the man who made it all happen, Harrison, the owner of Static Tape Video, made his way by. And so I grabbed him and we chatted real quick. No.
So you chat with other people too?
Yeah, I got to see a bunch of friends that I've never met before.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So tell the kids who you are and what you do.
My name is Harrison Lang. I'm the owner of Static Tape Video and put on Michigan is Dead.
So what is this?
So let's see. This is my third year doing it. Just kind of, I'm here in a small mall. A lot of cool local stores in here. So just me and a few of the stores kind of always try to put on events for this mall and just keep something going. For the other local stores and the small community that's here in Muskegon, Michigan. And my one contribution a year is one big horror media convention, which is obviously what I'm passionate about, is physical media and records, movies, video game, all that type of stuff. I'm one of the few stores around on this side of the state still doing that stuff. So it's nice to bring the community of people from across not only the state of Michigan or West Michigan, but I got some out-of-state people, Wisconsin, Indiana, Ohio, that are also passionate about the same stuff, and just be together, celebrating physical media, and just whatever arts in general. There's artists, there's film directors here that are local doing their thing, and they, it's another chance for them to just, be a part of the community and do stuff for the community.
Is this where you grew up?
Yeah, I grew up in Grand Haven, right near here. But I've always kind of been around this area my life, yeah.
What's your earliest memory of going to the video store?
Oh, gosh. Going to a video, so I was born in 96, unfortunately, so I kind of missed...
Unfortunately.
I kind of missed out on, the mom and pop era, I was very lucky to have my dad, a very nerdy guy, and really grew me up on the John Carpenter movies and Bruce Campbell stuff. Kind of early, a little too early maybe, some might say. So video store, we went there a lot. We also there's a local drive-in here. I went to the drive-in a lot growing up, a ton.
What was the drive-in called?
It's the Getty.
Is it still there?
It is still there, yes. Yeah, actually, it was great. They have 4 screens still, which is amazing. Yeah, 4-screen drive-in, still up and running to this day. I hope they continue. I try to go there still. But yeah, went there a lot. Video store, yeah, I did have a Blockbuster growing up in Grand Haven that I did go to until that one eventually closed, and then it eventually turned into me going to Family Video. But my dad always had a big Laserdisc and VHS collection when I was growing up. So if we weren't at the video store, I still had access to Predator, Aliens, the important stuff whenever I had friends over. It's like, oh, we're watching Dawn of the Dead, we're watching this. And so it's always been a big part for me.
That's tremendous. So when did you, have you always had this store? I mean, at this location, or what's the history of the store?
Yeah, so I've always been inside this mall. I opened up 7 years ago, right before COVID, 2019. And
the perfectly timed cough.
The worst timed cough. Sorry, I got issues in my lungs. There we go. I opened up right before COVID, maybe 4 or 5 months before, unfortunately. I was one store down at the opposite end of where we're at now, small spot, and then it turned into 2, and then now it's turned into, I technically take up 3 spots in this mall, but they're all one. I treat it as one big store, which is life-saving. I love that. But yeah, so 7 years here, and this is we're within 1 year of me having this new, bigger store, which has been, I needed it so bad. So, yeah.
And so what do you sell at the store? I saw on the Instagram you even had some like taped off TV videotapes.
Yeah, that's been a recent thing I've put out. I've been slowly collecting those for a while, and I've just kind of waited for the time till I get like a big enough collection or a nice weekend to put those out. And today seemed like a good enough time. They take a while to go through, so I started doing it for a while. But yeah.
Well, I'm gonna. That's my.
Oh, nice.
Oh God, that's my peanut butter and jelly. Forget about
it. That stuff. Yes. Yeah.
I'll be in there. I'll be poking around.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, hopefully there's some still left because I have a lot of people that like to look for that stuff these days. So, yeah.
It's the most fun. It's the most one-of-a-kind, unique.
Yeah, I never thought there'd be a day growing up where it's like, yeah, I miss the commercials and bad jingles. And I kind of, TV and streaming just, it kind of sucks these days. It
doesn't hit the same.
Everybody, it's not the same. I don't know. I kind of miss the you had to be there of TV, Dragon Ball Z's on at this time or Joe Bob's on at this time.
I think that is part of the fun I find, I think, the more I think about it, about the taped off TV stuff, because it's like, I miss flipping channel. I miss trying to find something to watch.
Yeah, you kind of earned it. Exactly. And there's a lot back in the day, like, The only really cool part about today and streaming kind of helped with this too is like it's starting to reverse. But when streaming first started, was things got easier to find. And Cynthia Rothrock's here. Her movies for years couldn't find them, especially her Hong Kong stuff. Right. Now there's Vinegar Syndrome, Shout Factory, all these great independent companies putting that type of stuff on Blu-ray, which is great, or they're on streaming. Like Tubi's amazing. But it's too bad streaming's kind of reversing that. A lot of the bigger streaming places are. Tubi's staying strong, which is awesome. I hope it stays strong with what it's been doing. But yeah, for a while, you'd have to really dig and find that stuff and get lucky. Either cons like this, that's what cons used before with the bad bootleg tapes, and bad rips, and it's nice to just kind of go back to that at times, it feels, yeah.
You got a favorite movie?
Oh my gosh. I'm asked that a lot. So, I mean, it kind of one of the answers has to be Raiders of the Lost Ark because my name's Harrison. I was named after Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
My dad was that much of a nerd, yeah. So, Raiders of the Lost Ark is a perfect movie. I do love it a lot. And then John Carpenter's The Thing is also up there. That's another perfect movie. Jaws is a perfect movie. There's a handful. Those are probably top 3 for me. Yeah.
Tremendous. Dude, man, I mean, it's got to feel pretty good taking a look around, like bringing everybody together to do this, right?
Yeah, this gets bigger every year.
It's got to be stressful, but...
Oh, of course, yeah. It gets bigger every year somehow, but, I'm glad everyone enjoys it. I have a lot of returning vendors, which is cool. I guess that means I'm doing a good job, so... Yeah, it's just cool to do something neat for this area and small vendors, directors and stuff like that to have something like this, Yeah.
Where can the kids find you online?
So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Static Tape Video, and I do have a website, statictapevideo.com. Otherwise, very heavy on Facebook and Instagram.
Thanks so much for letting me do this.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming by. You had quite the trip this morning because you said you were Royal Oak area.
As I was a few hours into the drive, I was like, is the sun going to come up?
Yeah, God, I can imagine. I can imagine. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah.
Well worth it.
That means a lot to hear. Thank you. Awesome.
Appreciate it. All right. Best of luck. Have a good one today,
you
man.
Have a great one. Thank you very much.
And so, I was here for about a good 3 hours, having a great time, talking with people, walking around. And Joe Bob, he was a little late, but, when you're a star, you can show up whenever you like. And then eventually, Joe Bob and Darcy, the mail girl from, formerly of The Last Drive-In, which Shudder just unceremoniously canceled. Can't believe it. They made their way in, and I was nervous because there was a very long line behind me. And you can tell, I really only talked to them for a couple of minutes, maybe like 4 or 5 minutes, which is a long time when you got a long line behind you. But I was nervous because I was like, if I know anything about this Joe Bob guy, he's never going to stop talking. That's exactly what happened. But we had a great time and interesting conversation, so here that is. Darcy, what's your earliest memory of going to a video store?
Start with him. Let me think about that shit.
Well, you worked in one.
That's not my earliest memory, though.
What video store did you work at?
Blockbuster. Blockbuster was literally the best job I ever had. No offense. Yes, you get all the movies early, and they knew. Like if it was a TNA or a horror, they're like, oh, here you go. They give it to me first. I guess. Okay, I think I remember. So I remember the first time just being in awe and just looking at all the cover boxes and stuff, like with my dad, like of all the stuff I wish I could see. Like I remember Angel. Like I couldn't wait to grow up to see Angel because it looked so good, and all the posters. And honestly, that's what probably started like my love of horror. It's like, look how amazing that looks one day, man, one day.
What's your earliest memory going to a video store, Joe Bob? Do you know?
I went to video stores kind of late because when VHS first came out, all the companies would send me the videos to review.
Oh, you're so
But there was a guy in the neighborhood who sold pirate videos out of the trunk of his car.
That's what I was wondering, because
that's sort of my original video store is like buying these illegal tapes out of a guy's car.
When did you get your first VCR? Was it early?
I did not get Betamax. I did not do Betamax, but as soon as VHS came out, I got it. Of course, I was opposed to it though.
That's what I was wondering. You must have resisted it, right?
Yeah, because it was hurting the drive-ins, and so so for a while I wouldn't review anything that was direct to video. Then I sort of gave in after 2 or 3 years, and I started doing a part of the column that was like quickie 1-2 line reviews of the interesting videotapes that came out. But I didn't really go and hang out in video stores because I had too many. I always had a big stack on my desk of interesting ones too, from like tiny companies that was at the dawn of the video age. Everybody thought they could be a distributor of videos, and they came out like crazy. And actually, I worked for a company called Strand Video, and we put out a series called The Sleaziest Movies in the History of the World, and it was all the works of Doris Wishman and all the works of Herschel Gordon Lewis on video. And so I would go to the
She's about to do her gimmick.
We have a line.
I'm sorry. I would go
Can I
to
get
the
a quick picture with you guys?
Yeah, all right.
Sorry, but you would have kept going.
Of course. Appreciate it. Thank you for everything. I can't wait for what's next.
Thank you so much.
I was okay with the stories.
It was gonna go a while.
I mean, at least he's interested, right? Thanks a lot. So yeah, I don't know if you caught that at the very end when Darcy cut us off. Thankfully, I was already feeling like, oh my God, he's talking too much. And then she intervened, which I was like, oh, thank God she jumped in. But I don't know if you heard it. The guy behind me in the line was like, oh, I didn't mind. I was enjoying the story. So Yeah, so great time, and shout out to everybody, and just, I got to get to more of these tape swaps, and if you know of any more, hit me up and all that good stuff. Anyway, so now here's my conversation with Alex Ross Perry. I mean, what's your earliest memory of going to a video store?
Well, I find a lot of these people, you ask a lot of people this question, their memories are always so, at least up to a certain point when the industry became more homogenized, they're very specific. So for me, it's West Coast Video, which was a fairly local chain in the Philadelphia region, maybe some as far away as New Jersey, but basically a local chain, was my childhood store. And there were quite a few of those around where I grew up. And like a lot of chains, they were very uniform in their aesthetic. Their color was red. If Blockbuster's was blue and gold, theirs was a kind of bright red. And they always had track lights on every section. So it was just a really brightly lit up store with blinking little lights everywhere. Very exciting to walk into. And the one near me, which was not huge at all, it was pretty kind of like the size of a garage, had a cookie shop in it. It was a cookie bakery called Hope's and West Coast Video. So the whole place just smelled like freshly baked cookies every day.
Oh my God! And you, what were you? How small were you? I mean, was this
6
little kid? Yeah, that must have been a dream. Like cookies and movies, right?
Yeah, it was very exciting. Another location of it that was kind of near my dad's office, I think, had like an ice cream shop in it. For some reason, they all had like other businesses that they were partnered with. And they have local commercials. And one of these commercials I made sure to include in Video Heaven just as an acknowledgement of what that chain meant to me. And Movies Unlimited, which was another Philadelphia-based chain. I think historically the first chain of video stores. Those were around also for me, and those would just pop up in shopping malls or other places. So I remember all these places incredibly well, and I also have very clear memories of the tape section at the children's section at my library, which was always quite well stocked. This is 1989, 1990, bringing home just all sorts of movies, or at that time, Mr. Rogers, Sesame Street, but like, there's no other way to rewatch things in 1989. So you get them at the library. And I remember all of these things equally. But if I think of a store, it's the West Coast Video with the Hope's cookies in it.
What type of things did you? I mean, beyond like just the kids stuff. I mean, what was it you were most interested in seeing early on?
Well, I have no real recollection of that beyond like whatever history I've imagined for myself.
Yeah.
But it goes without saying, it was a great time for children's entertainment.
Yeah, it really was.
It's not like I had to search for things. I was being served just the best of animated films from the 80s, and your Fievel's and your Land Before Times, and really great thoughtful films that even as a young boy, if I wasn't so high on Disney movies that had songs and princesses, there were these wonderful movies about dinosaurs or mice or robots or other things that I was really interested in. It was just a great time, as we now know, but at the time it just seemed like there's a lot of good stuff in the world. And it was also a great way to access Teddy Ruxpin tapes, and which I now know were just episodes of the show. But it was a great time to be 6 years old and watching stuff. And then of course for me everything changed kind of within a year when we had both Home Alone and the first Ninja Turtles movie. And then there was another world of children's entertainment that became available. But nowadays, I have a 5-year-old. What would pass for children's entertainment now is a lot of slop. It's a lot of 16 seasons on streaming of something that I can't stand to watch for 5 minutes that she's obsessed with. And back then it was thoughtfully made, artfully animated, even if rudimentary, shows that are strange and horrifying now by modern standards, but at the time were just really interesting. And even the films had quite a lot of thought and care put into them. Making movies for children at the time was not a ghetto. At the time, it was a parallel art form.
How old is your daughter?
She's 5.
Have you watched Tumbleleaf?
No, I don't know what that is.
I always recommend that. I think it's on Prime or something, Netflix or Prime. But I've never really looked into it, but I always recommend it to anybody with like young children. Like it reminds me of something because it feels like we're about the same age. It reminds me of something that we would have watched when we were small.
Okay. I mean, I just try to make her watch things I did watch when I was small.
Yeah. Oh no.
Which is obviously the
Preaching
best.
to the choir. No, exactly. But it's stop motion. It's
Okay.
so sweet. It's really.
It's new. It's made
And
now.
I mean, my son's 10 now, and we watched it when he was little, so it may be even as old as a decade old. But
Unbelievable. Yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah. I mean, these things look familiar.
it's so sweet, and
Yeah.
it's. I didn't find it burdensome to watch.
Yeah, no, that's obviously the goal.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, it was
'Cause
an
we would
Easter
watch-
special. Maybe we could throw that on. She's looking for Easter
Oh,
material and
good.
currently limited to a tape she bought last year at a VHS show of Ninja Turtles Meet the Easter Bunny, which she's extremely, extremely high on. But maybe this would help us also.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's too good. Yeah, because we would watch, because like we put on Sesame Street, and it was like, the modern one. It was just it's first of all it's a half hour, and then it's the Elmo show, and so I was like, no, I need to start finding old episodes from like the 70s and 80s, and even into the 90s. It was still. It's like I couldn't believe how funny Sesame Street was, watching it as an adult.
Yeah, she hasn't latched on. Maybe I haven't tried. Like for me, Follow That Bird was such a big movie in my life.
Yeah.
I haven't tried to show that to her, but she really kind of moved on from Sesame Street very quickly and has never really wanted to go back to it. But maybe a movie would excite her more. But yeah, the show, as soon as she had the ability to voice her opinion, she really just didn't want to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, our son has definitely come back around on the Muppets. I think it was had that association of like, oh no, this is for babies. I'm big
Mhm.
now.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's definitely come back around on them. Were your parents into movies? Like, what kind of things would your parents rent?
I don't remember for themselves.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
And
I find out now with a kid, I have like no idea what my parents did a single minute of their lives when I wasn't directly in front of them,
Yeah.
nor have I ever thought about it in my life until I started thinking, what does my kid think I do all the time? But yeah, I have no idea. My parents, specifically my dad, were really big into taping things off of TV and
Okay.
cable. So we had very, very few purchased tapes,
Same. That's the way I
commercially
grew up.
available tapes, and hundreds of tapes that would have 3 movies on them, paired with no logic at all. Just this was on HBO. Yeah, and then even my whole life, I would get a pay-per-view movie. We would just tape it
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's like whatever it was, $5 pay-per-view, but the event would be recording it and then being able to watch it later. So I don't really remember like what everything was, just because there was so much of it on these. It was beta in the living room, not VHS, where my dad did the taping. The VHS player was upstairs, but in the living room for some reason he just stuck with beta. And yeah, just everything we had was taped. And the funny part of this is that because of this, my whole childhood, I never watched a video from the store in the living room. I either watched it in their bedroom or in the basement, because that was where the VHS was. And in the living room, it was just beta movies that we had taped off of TV, or I would sit there and watch Garfield and Friends and tape those for myself. And yeah, I was always recording things that I wanted to have access to, but it was, yeah, this weird, bootlegging setup that he had in the living room.
That's tremendous. Okay, so he did eventually be like, "Oh, we got to get a VHS VCR
I
as
don't
well."
ever remember not having both. I
Oh,
just remember
really?
knowing. I just remember knowing, like in the living room or these tapes, they're smaller, and if you rent something, you watch it either upstairs or
Uh-huh.
downstairs.
That's tremendous.
Yeah, I don't know.
Uh,
I don't know when this decision was made.
do any of these tapes still exist?
I doubt it. I
Are
think
you-
when I was given permission to go and clear out stuff I wanted, I kept none of these beta tapes. I don't even think those were still around. Uh,
yeah.
and then I, for years, sort of would rent copiously. I would rent just everything from Blockbuster, and I would also then be taping. I would be dubbing things that I rented just to have them. When you're watching it anyway, I had two decks set up, and I would just hit record on the other one, and I would also set the VCR and tape things off of TV. So then for years and years, I kind of created an archive as well, and though I kept a kind of representative selection of those just to have the fun of remembering that I did it. But this was all a volume of plastic that when I was gone, no one in my house was there to stand up for anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of stepped into that role in my family where it was like my luckily or maybe unluckily, I don't it depends on your perspective. My dad when I was a kid, he would often say, "Don't throw it away, it might be worth something someday." But almost a little tongue in cheek. But as a result, my brother and I both have large collections. Like my brother has like a ton of like, dead tapes and then CDs. We both collect comic books, and then I became very interested in VHS. And so this is all to say when my folks moved out of it wasn't the house I grew up in, but the house I grew up in, they didn't check anything. They literally just packed all of it and then moved to this house that they were in for the last 20 years.
Okay.
And so when we were cleaning out that house, it was a ton of stuff. I mean, literally ton. Like when they haul away the garbage, they weigh it. Like the dump truck, literally over 3 tons of stuff. My folks were like, I don't know why we still have this. But I left with all the VHS tapes. I became because I was the only advocate for it. I was the only one that was like, no, we need to keep this stuff, or at least see what's on these tapes.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that happened for me in a moment that I was limited in what I could save.
Yeah.
And then it was all in a storage locker, and now it's all in my basement. And it's some good stuff, but
What type of stuff is on the tapes off the
I
top
have no
of your
idea.
head? No.
I don't know.
Do you watch any? I mean, do you have VCRs still right now?
More than I could count. A whole
Really?
stack of them there in the corner. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's I mean, not only do I have, let's see, there's 5 working ones right there, and then a TV VCR on the floor here, and then in the living room we have one. And all the tapes are over there in the cupboards that open. If you remember those, the kind with the key.
Oh, totally.
So I have kind of different I try to pick those up on Facebook Marketplace whenever they appear, and each one's a different genre. But yeah, we watch quite a few tapes and purchase them as often as necessary. And my daughter has her own little collection of tapes that rotate in and out, some of which she really likes more than others. But like
Yeah.
I said, she has her Turtles Easter Bunny tape. She has her Ewoks animated tape. She
Hell
has
yeah.
a bunch of Christmas tapes. Yeah, no, we're very, very tape heavy.
What is it? I mean, are you collecting everything with your tape collection now, or is it just are you looking for specific stuff?
I mean, it's specific, but it's broad enough that it's nearly everything. Um, it's
I
nothing
guess
that
I need
I'm.
to say, are you looking like are you one of these guys that's looking for like rare horror, or are you just like, oh, I love this movie, I want to have it on tape?
I would do both of those things.
Yeah.
Pretty democratic. There's case to be made, and a few times a year, specifically maybe out at VHS Fest at the Mahoning Drive-In, I'm allowing myself one or two like $20 to $50 horror tapes,
Right.
but I'm also looking for things that are $1.
Yeah.
Just because to me there's a right way to watch something, and there's a way that I don't care about. And last year, for whatever reason, I had been struck by a desire to rewatch for the first time in decades The Rage Carrie 2. which Vinegar Syndrome had just, as about this time last year, announced new edition. So I thought, great, at VHS Fest, I bet I can get a copy for $1. I am not spending $40 on that movie.
Yeah.
God bless people who are, but I am not. But I really want to rewatch it, and I bet it's really going to get like an extra half star if I watch a video of it. Sure enough, I found it for $1. Now that's neither rare nor valuable to anybody, but to me, I was like, well, I don't even want to rent this on Amazon for $3. I want to own this
Right.
forever on tape for $1.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing collectible about it, but it looks really good in the horror cupboard.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So where's
Yeah,
the
I'll get anything. We have a comparably sized cupboard of action thriller, a lot of erotic thrillers, a lot of
Yeah.
action films, things that one could make the argument would benefit from a superior visual format. And for us, like if we're rewatching 80s and 90s legal thrillers, erotic thrillers, like I just, I can't watch it on Saturday afternoon on cable, so I'm going to watch it on tape.
How many tapes do you have now, do you suppose?
I couldn't begin to count. I don't know. When I was
Yeah.
moving, I intended to count as packing, and of course I didn't do that.
Right.
I couldn't tell you. A lot. More, not a number that if the average person heard it, they would say, that makes sense.
What I mean, do you keep people? I get this question a lot as a big tape collector, movie collector, all of it. Do you use anything to keep track of it all, or do you just know what you have?
I just know. I know some people have apps where they
Yeah.
scan the barcode or something. I just know, and sometimes I don't know, and that's fine too. I have a pretty good sense of what I have, but
Yeah.
then every once in a while, I get very excited, find a beautiful edition, great clamshell of a tape, get home, very excited to put Eyes of a Stranger on my shelf, and I think, that's funny, I already have this.
Right.
Now I have 2 copies of Eyes of a Stranger. Why didn't I realize that? Oh, they're different editions. One of them's big box and one of them's not. Well, now I have 2 of these, but
That's
that
fair.
happens. That happens pretty rarely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty aware of it. Not because I have a great memory anymore for these things, but just because it still carries that specificity of like, if I found this and I looked at it and I assessed it and I bought it and I brought it home, and chances are before we watched it, it sat in front of the TV for a month or 6 months. And then we watched it. And by the time I put it back on the shelf, I'm not like, what was that movie that we had? It's like, I have been looking at that for months, sitting there, just waiting to be watched, or it's part of the furniture, it's part of the decor. And, now they're just kind of over near my desk. So I see them more often. But yeah, there's plenty that I don't remember.
I think that's really well said, because it's that's part of the experience I enjoy, is spending time with these things. They kind of become part of just the landscape. Like having a collection like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but now, I get to the point where I was in Australia last year and had the opportunity to go visit Umbrella, who obviously does invaluable work.
Mm-hmm.
And in a frantic 45 minutes before they closed, they gave me a tour and allowed me to take a stack of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I've watched a good many of those, but I couldn't tell you what most of them are still, because I was grabbing stuff specifically because I don't know what it was. I'm grabbing obscure Australian films from the 70s and 80s that they're assuring me no one else will release this in the world. No one else would see money in this. Only we have this edition, so you should take it.
Yeah.
And I think, great. And I watched some of them, and even those titles kind of slipped through my cracks. But the titles in the box sets, I can't say I recall, but I know which box sets I have.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. I mean, I even get the question of like, how do you know where everything is? And I mean, I have it sorted like it sounds like you have it sorted by genre as well. Like I like doing genre.
A little bit.
Yeah, director, maybe
The tapes are all by genre, just because it's pretty easy to put your finger on what mood you want.
Well, that's what I say. I'm like, people who sort their stuff by alphabetically, I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, if I'm not in the mood to watch something that begins with an E,
Mhm.
I'm like, no, what horror movies do we have? What would be good for Easter, like that type of
Yeah.
thing.
I think when the day comes that I get proper shelving built here for the discs. Those probably will just largely be alphabetical because to me the tapes, like it really, I'm just looking here at the cupboards. Like I have the horror cupboard, have the action thriller cupboard, I have comedy, and that's kind of it. Like those are kind of what I want on tape. And then we have like a kind of miscellaneous that's classics, a lot of films that my wife grew up loving that I was not familiar with that to her live on tape, children's films. But like, the discs are much more of like a catch-all of like great films I want, whereas the tape collection is like these are the tapes I have found a need to recreate the browsing experience with, and
Yeah.
75% of what we have are horror or action and thriller.
I mean, that's what I tell people too. I'm like, it's having a big collection. Part of the joy of it is just the browsing, and then that's also part of why, because people are like, how can you find anything? I'm like, well, I think it's just because I care. Like I'm engaged with this collection, So how soon is Kim's the only video store you ever worked at, or did you work at other ones before or after?
Worked at a Suncoast as my first ever paid job when I was in high school in the King of Prussia Mall.
How was that? But they didn't rent, right? That was just...
No, Suncoast was only sales.
Strictly sales.
Yeah, I mean, I looked forward to that job for as long as I could before I finally got it. It was a terrific job. Not only did I get to work in a cool store full of tapes, and at the exact time I worked there, the transition to DVDs, but I got to hang out in the mall like 25 hours a week.
Was movies always your favorite thing?
Along with NES and and the X-Men, essentially.
Sure. Hell yeah. That's great. So then when did you wind up NYU?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when did you wind up at Kim's? Were you a customer first?
Yeah. Oh, instantly. Yeah. Instantly. As soon as I moved to the city, took me very little time to discover it and get involved with the rentals in a major way. And started in the middle of my junior year in January 2005 and worked there until December 2007. So a month shy of 3 years. And yeah, it was the second half of college and then a year and a half after.
And then what was the, are your memories vivid of that time? What was the hiring process like?
Yeah, pretty. I mean, well, mine, I don't know because I was on the other side of the counter. But our hiring process when I was there and then when I was assistant manager and later manager, I don't want to say it was cutthroat because that sounds intense, but
okay.
Maybe 2 days a week, somebody didn't come in and say, hey, can I hand in a resume in case you guys are ever hiring? And we had a folder that was about 2 inches thick of resumes, and some of which, when you pull them out, they'd be from 4 years ago. So eventually we had to remember to call them. But the unfortunate truth is that whenever we needed someone, we kind of just looked at the top 3 and just whoever had come in the most recently was in luck. And I think one day my number was up and that was me. Also because I was incessant. I just every time I came in, not 5 days a week, but maybe once or twice a week, just said, hey, any movement, anybody leaving, any openings? And according to those who were working there at the time, they just eventually got tired of me asking and said, like, we got to get this guy in here. Like, this is just, but we have to not put him on this floor because he's clear. Like, we just have to get him so he stops asking, but we can't spend all day with him. So put him downstairs on the other floor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, give like, a rundown of what was Kim's Video. What made it different than, because you weren't busting on the door to work at a Blockbuster.
No, I wasn't. Yeah. Even Suncoast was, and for me growing up, the TLA Video was really the spot in adolescence.
What was TLA Video?
TLA is another Philadelphia-based chain of video stores that ultimately had one location in New York City as well, but in Philadelphia probably had 8 to 10, I think. And there was one of those in Ardmore that was just a miracle spot for me once I got more serious because they had director sections, and that's how you've crossed over from the stores you've been content with up until this point to the stores that you're now going to need to really, really spend some time in, because never go in 100 Blockbusters, never see a director section. So to discover that was crucial, but I couldn't get a job. I mean, that place just never, I was constantly asking them, but didn't happen. And Suncoast happened first. Um, and yeah, and then coming to Kim's was, as a customer, it was this three-story mecca of physical media. The first floor was music, second floor was video sales, and the third floor was video rentals, containing a world-class collection that by the time the store closed had roughly 60,000 tapes and DVDs, comprising, by any measure, one of the world's largest publicly accessible archives of movies on video. And yeah, as a film student, just to even be in the space was magic, 'cause 3 floors and every inch covered in stickers, posters, graffiti, promotional items. And to me, there's just no place I would rather have been. And part of this is those memories of West Coast Video and not of Blockbuster, which, I enjoyed as much as anybody and frequented when that was the right place for me. But it was just the chaos of it. It was just the bizarre idiosyncratic nature of not just the sort of genealogy of how things were arranged, but forget about director sections. Now I'm seeing sections like called Italian zombies. And it's like, well, TLA didn't even, they had some horror directors, but now what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
what is this? Like hillbilly exploitation and like what am I seeing here? And this is just essential at the time that I'm supposedly learning at the great film school, to come into a store and say, like, so again, this is hindsight, but like, okay, so there's 50,000 some odd movies here. 30 of these, this is like thinking that you're an explorer and then being told there's 8 more continents on the world. And it's like, how come no one told me about these other continents? I thought I was talking to people and learning from people who knew geography. And then there's just like an entire half of the world that no one's ever shown me. This is unbelievable. Even haunting TLA, constantly, never in my life had I seen a Something Weird DVD.
Right.
And now I have access to 2,000 of them, and each one has 2 to 3 movies on it. And it's, this again, it's just like, oh, you like food? Here, I'm going to let you in on a secret. There's like another food group that you don't even know about,
right,
that they don't sell at your store, but we have all of it. And you're just like, I'm going to eat. Like, this is unbelievable. And Kim's was that as a customer. And then as an employee, it was that times 10, because, if you open the store, preposterously, the store opened at 10 a.m., which for the East Village during the week is just absolutely a waste of resources and time. But that was the choice that they made. So if you opened, you were by yourself from 9:30 to noon.
Yeah.
And that's movie time.
Yeah.
Between those hours, if I had 10 customers, it would be a busy morning. Sometimes there'd be stuff to put on the shelves, but pretty much that's a movie every day for sure. And if you're watching Something Weird movies like I was, some of these are 70 minutes long. By the time the next person comes in and the lunch rush starts to have some browsers, you could have knocked out an entire Something Weird double feature in 2.5 hours. And this is what I did for years. And then if you're closing and you're working until midnight, weekends are insane, of course, but on a Wednesday from like 10:30 to midnight, 2 people working, you can definitely watch a movie with 2 eyes for most of the runtime. And it was magnificent.
I mean, it sounds really exciting. I'm curious, did it also feel intimidating? Like,
Extremely.
Did you feel like a small fish in a big pond all of a sudden?
Oh, it's very intimidating as a customer for all the classic reasons of judgmental clerks with supposedly great taste. But then as soon as I was invited behind the counter and given a time card, I just instantly felt like in the mafia. It's like, oh, I'm made now. There's nothing. Right. I'm no longer intimidated. I'm over here now.
Yeah.
I guess they saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. But I think that intimidation is part of the fun. Certainly is part of the fun for customers.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I would go to Kim's, like I kind of didn't like it. I was like, I feel like I don't know enough. I'm not, and I think my defenses would go up and be like, well, fuck this place then. I don't, whatever,
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I can't
I mean,
relate
for
to that, but
me, yeah,
some people would, I think, were overwhelmed by the immensity of what we had there and the sort of hugeness of the experience. And of course, the store could often be quite crowded, which is also very, very stressful in a way.
yeah. What I mean, what were I mean, this might be too specific, but like what were like the big renters in your time that you were there?
Of titles.
Sure, titles or like genres or like was there a certain thing that oh, this type of movie's blowing up now because of X, Y, and Z?
I worked on the sales floor, so my knowledge of rentals is, it's not secondhand, but
Yeah.
this wasn't a store that would have had even the hottest, most desirable new Criterion, like wouldn't have had more than five copies of anything,
Sure.
and that would be a huge amount. So there couldn't be like it's like the rare store that new releases were not 80% of the revenue
Mm-hmm.
because the kind of new release market just wasn't really our market. But for me on the sales floor, the new releases were hugely significant. So there were, but like to me, in the 2005, six, and seven, big ticket stuff was at that time. There's a lot of movies. DVD
Yeah.
at that point had been prominent for roughly 5 years when I started, since like 99, 2000. So the things that were making this kind of long anticipated DVD debut, um, like we couldn't keep the Criterion Rules of the Game in stock.
Yeah.
If when the Criterion put that out, couldn't keep it in stock.
Yeah.
Like that was the kind of stuff that would just fly. And certainly our kind of cult and horror audience, some of these titles like put out like a Coffin Joe box set in the coffin, right? Like we couldn't keep that in stock.
Yeah.
Blind Dead, it's like, oh my God, Blue Underground's putting out like a 6-disc Blind Dead box set, Tombs of the Blind Dead. Yeah, I mean, those are $100. They were selling, we'd sell 10 on a Saturday. Just from that being our customer base, we have genre heavies like Frank Henenlotter and Rob Zombie always coming in to just, get 20, 30 things. So that stuff was really big as sells. It's as sellers. It's what you would expect, that kind of film lover. We're not moving the new releases. And then, but the classics and the rentals, I just know both by reputation, but also the sort of contribution that the store and its curation made to the reputation of some films. Like, I'll say these titles that now in 2026, you say, well, of course.
Yeah.
But in 2006, like, there was only one place you could rent Wanda, and it was at Kim's.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who had seen that movie anywhere in all of New York City saw it because Kim's had a copy of it. There is no restoration, there is no Criterion, there is no streaming. Come and See, which is now regarded as one of the greatest films ever made. That was an employee's pick. You had to put that in front of people and let them say, like, what is this? And the store really did a lot of work to put what are now just obviously canonical films like Possession in front of people, but not
Right.
because that was the one movie, but because there's a lot of Zulawski fans at the store. Now that's an easy one to kind of hook people on, but before that movie was possibly the most widely available movie, the most frequently screened, you had to put that in employee picks, and that's where it was. And the store did so much good for the reputation of titles like that. And now that we've kind of gotten the collection back and have spent a few years browsing through it, we're just finding these beat to hell tapes that we put on, and they look like they've been watched 5,000 times, of movies that are now screening in repertory weekly and available in 4K. But back then there was one copy of it on tape in the tri-state area, and this was the copy. And we have these kind of sacred objects that were like, there was no other place to see these bootlegs of 80s and 90s Godard films. Like, you're not seeing, Hail Mary or any of these movies on Blu-ray. Someone dubbed the Artificial Eye tape of it, and Kim's had a bootleg tape of it. And if you're seeing it, that's where you're seeing it. And that was the store's stock and trade.
Yeah. Tell them a little bit about that. You mentioned where the collection is now.
Yeah, so it's kind of a long and insane story that's almost indescribable, but basically when the store closed, there's a documentary about this called
Yeah.
Kim's Video that people could just watch. It's 80 minutes long, so it's almost the same length of the full explanation. But basically, Kim got swindled by some Italians to donate his entire collection of then nearly 60,000 videos to some cultural center in Sicily that in a very classic fascistic way was going to be built with his name on it. And then, of course, this never happened. And it was a whole scam. And this invaluable archive left New York City. And then a decade plus later, the filmmakers of this movie got the collection back in conjunction with Alamo Drafthouse, where it was acquired and brought to the Manhattan location, where it sat untouched for 2 years until me and Sean Williams, who worked on the third floor, and some other friends just said, "Give us free food and let us do this." And we individually laid our fingers on 50,000 titles just to curate, and by looking up thousands of them, a publicly accessible rental store that's in the lobby of the Alamo, for free. And it's currently, when we started, they had out about 300 tapes just as a sort of visual placeholder.
Yeah.
Now we have almost 5,000. And of those, some of them are these ones I'm describing where it's like, yeah, you can see, come and see, but our copy of it is special.
Yeah.
So we're putting that out. But really about 4,000 of these tapes are things that are still, we looked up, there's nowhere else to see this. We're putting out stuff only that never made it to DVD. There is no streaming. There like stuff that still preserves that spirit that we heard every day. God, this place has everything.
Yeah.
And we tried to put out only those just to make a store, a free store where people can say, like, can't get this anywhere else. So we put out a lot of really interesting stuff. Best example is how many local New York, East Village, underground, independent films we had that clearly were either donated or consigned by the filmmakers, for whom having their tape in their local store was an honor.
Yeah.
Then we find it 25 years later, and it's probably the only way to watch this movie. In some cases, we've had filmmakers reach out and say, I don't even have a copy, but you still have the copy I gave you for $50 in 1997. We're like, yeah, well, you can come sign it if you want, but it's been really satisfying to do that job again and just really see we still, we have so much amazing stuff.
I mean, you think about it, really feels miraculous, honestly, that you think about how many videotapes have wound up in landfills and then that this collection survived,
Yeah. And we, every day we're working, we put on 10 tapes to watch, to check. Maybe in years of doing this, 3 didn't work.
Really?
Everything else, this is the magic of it. It's just
Yeah.
right where someone left off, right in the middle of the movie. Quality is nice, all in remarkably good condition. Some had a little bit of mold that we were able to take care of thanks to the demolding machine we were given by the VHS's Life Fellow who makes these things.
Mm-hmm.
But it really was important to respect the fact that, as I'm saying, the planet of movies on videotape was really big. And what we loved doing when we were, we largely have finished going through the 35,000 tapes that this collection had. The rest were discs. But what we really love is, God, there just used to be so many distribution channels. So many.
Yeah.
You're finding hundreds of tapes that we had from independent releasing companies that never made the leap to DVD, that would specialize in experimental cinema, shorts, queer cinema, documentaries, and they would just have this one thing that they did, and they would have an independent distribution network of independent stores. And so many labels were just like, every Mystic Fire tape, pull it, because 9 out of 10 of those never made the leap to any other format. If it's on Mystic Fire, we're putting it out, just as one example. And our Come and See tape is from this line of Soviet cinema tapes that, bright red boxes with a little square insert of the of a still from the movie. And, none of these are the best quality, but that doesn't matter to us,
Yeah,
certainly.
exactly.
What matters is the idea that you would have held this thing and thought, well, this might be the only copy of this in America. And if you care about that more than crisp, perfect 4K, then you understand what we were doing or what our kind of memories were all about.
Yeah. I mean, you've done so much. You've really accomplished quite a bit in your career creatively. How early do you suppose you had the idea to make Video Heaven?
Well, it's very, I don't suppose I know. And now I can really talk about the convergence of events that I've realized in retrospect all happened at the same time. But
Okay.
by the end of 2014, following things happened or were happening. So Kim's that I worked at with the rentals closed in 2009, or maybe late 2008 or so, and it moved elsewhere in the East Village, but got rid of the tapes, and that's when they went to Italy. It had this other location that was just sales, hung on for 5 more years, and closed in 2014. There was when I moved at the time I was living in Park Slope. When I moved there were two great stores. One was called Real Life, and it closed in 2012. The other was called Video Gallery, and that closed fall of 2014. Right on my block. The exterior canopy for it hangs in my basement.
Yeah.
To this day. I was given it. I finally had a place to hang it up downstairs. But then Daniel Herbert put out his book, Videoland, Movie Culture at the American Video Store, which I read late 2014, late 2014, I think. And earlier that year, Tom Anderson's essay film documentary, Los Angeles Plays Itself, was restored and given a 10th anniversary re-release. So it's obvious now that the convergence of all four of these things made me say, this essay film blows my mind. This book, this very readable academic history of video stores has blown my mind. I'm watching the last of these stores leave New York City. The beta version of my store is gone. My local store is gone. Yeah. That's probably the last video store I'll ever live near. And somehow in all of that, fission occurred, and the movie was born from a email conversation with Dan Herbert in which he shared his deleted chapter that he cut out of Videoland about the depictions of video stores in cinema on screen, in which he had found dozens of examples. And this to me felt like, if I'm going to make something like Los Angeles Plays Itself, which I want to do, and Room 237 had also come out at around this same time, the same like 16-month stretch I'm talking about.
Okay.
Dan's book felt like the seed of something that could be really major. And by 2015, I was working on it, talking to Dan weekly. The first and only time I ever spent time in person with him was in the spring of 2015 when I went to University of Michigan, where he teaches. And we just kind of chipped away at it for 10 more years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's incredible. I mean, because... And Videoland is such a great book, and it really, it when I watched Video Heaven, it really it brought that to mind. But like, you used the word academic, and that is the perfect word for that book, Videoland, because it was almost too academic for a guy like me. Whereas I did feel like Video Heaven it felt more personal.
Right. Well, I mean, that was Dan's PhD work.
Exactly.
It is written
That's
under
the bottom line, right?
Academic auspices, but
yes.
But I found it quite readable. I mean, certainly there's academic texts that are much drier, but the subject is so pop that it felt very clear to me how to even move it one click further to pop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had Los Angeles Plays Itself sometimes just on in the background, just droning peacefully while I work. And that movie is extremely academic. Tom Anderson is, like Dan, an academic. He's a professor. Sure. I am not. I couldn't make something as rigorously intelligent as Tom Anderson could if I tried. So I don't want to try. I couldn't make something as rigorously academic as Dan. So I have to take what he's done and iterate on it in my own way, which makes the movie, the text that I sort of wrote, a little bit poppier, a little bit funnier, with a voice in it that is hopefully less like being lectured to, which I don't mind, but it's not for everybody, and more like having some bizarre brainiac leaning on the counter, just kind of opining at you, which is obviously what we fetishize about the Tarantinos and the Kevin Smiths and the kind of the greatest clerks of our lifetime. Just some smart guy standing there telling you a bunch of nonsense that you've never really thought of that way, but maybe now that he explains it, it all makes sense. And I kind of wanted the movie to feel in success, just like listening to some psychotic savant who has figured it all out in his own opinion.
No, I think Maya was the perfect choice to narrate it too, because her voice. When I was finished with the film, I was like, it was very. She came off very smart, but also very soothing. You know, I think it was a perfect balance.
I felt like that was the only way you could get people to engage for 3 hours.
Yeah. And I'm not blowing smoke. When it was over, I was like, I wish it was a little bit longer.
Well, this is I mean, the movie's either something that somebody would balk at and say, why would I watch that movie, period, much less for 3 hours? That's insane. Or it's something that for me and for like-minded maniacs is like, why does it have to be so short? Why do we have to get in and out of here? I could have lingered with this for another 45 minutes. And that's how I feel. And that's how the 1% of 1% of the population for whom this movie is targeted feel. And that's clearly you as well.
Yeah.
I think we split the difference nicely, but I say that with 172 minutes worth of movie. But to me, there's no harder challenge or greater goal than saying, like, for the people who love this, 2 hours and 50 minutes, leave them wanting more.
Now, these perspectives, and I really thought it was one of those, what am I trying to say? It was just one of those experiences where I was like, gosh, I never thought of it that way. And why wasn't it obvious to me all along? The way that video stores were portrayed in films and in TV shows. Were these things were these things you noticed as a viewer all along, or was it only when you really sat down to do the work?
A third of it is Dan's research and Dan's analysis of the sociality of interactions as depicted on screen.
Yeah.
And he isolated things with his academic slant that never would have occurred to me.
Yeah.
A third of it was things that once I sat with these clips for years became obvious to me, which were not on my mind previously, because the thing about this film, which has about 180 sources, film shows, I could show you, well, maybe not you, but someone a little bit more normal than you or I could show them one of these clips and it means nothing.
Right.
I show them 3 of them and there's a funny coincidence. But if you show 180 of them, you're like, okay, wait, there is something here that I did not see when I've zoomed out far enough that I can see the whole picture now.
Yeah.
And for me, a lot of it was just years of repetition of looking at the same clips, the same scenes, talking to Dan, brainstorming, and coming up with connections that he never thought of, that I never thought of, but now were obvious. And the largest thesis of mine was, can I credibly argue that these depictions played a role in destroying this industry? Which is not something Dan said. It's not something I'd ever heard anybody say. Yeah. But if I'm putting on my academic cap to make this movie, it is a conclusion that if that's my thesis, what's your job as an academic? It's not prove that you are right unless you're a scientist. It's prove, it's state your thesis. No one's going to say, well, that settles it. History has been rewritten. But if you can prove your thesis, then you get an A.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do was say, look, this is my thesis. I'm not saying this is an absolute truth. I'm saying that I have 100 clips of people having horrible times in video stores, and there aren't video stores anymore by and large. There are record stores and there are bookstores, and I could not show you 100 clips of someone having a terrible time in a record store. Yeah. Ergo, if you isolate the variable, doesn't it mean something that the one of these physical media retail industries that has been entirely wiped out from the landscape is the one that 30 million viewers would watch Friends, 30 million viewers would watch Seinfeld, 30 million viewers would watch Frasier, and every single one of those shows would say, if you go to this place, it's going to be stressful, unpleasant, comedic, and annoying. Now, obviously, a lot of these are the same people, but let's say that's that's something like 50 million people being brainwashed into thinking the video store is a place that you can avoid, plus the technological shift, which happened to all industries, but the difference is that viewers had been given this other thing. So that was my big thesis, and Dan was, quite impressed by that. And the point was just to prove it. And I did not start with that. It kind of came mid-stride, but I left myself open to the idea that I would learn something the more I sat with these, and I hope that I did. And I hope that I present it in a way that is, if not irrefutable, which no academic point ever is, but at least convincing enough to say, I never thought of it that way.
And that's how I felt. I think, I've talked to a couple of friends who've watched it as well, who are, like-minded individuals, and it is very, hadn't thought of it that way, and it was like, God damn, pretty dead on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just became clear, especially once. Oh, and then the third thing. So I'm saying a third of these things were Dan's points.
Please.
A third was that. And then the other thing was just the time it spent working on it. The narrative changed tremendously.
Yeah.
The ground when I looked down in 2015 when we started, and the ground when I looked down in 2024 when we were finishing. The story had changed. The story had grown. What was hanging on by a thread when we started was extinct, essentially, in 2025.
Right.
And my frustration and my bitterness about this had grown. But then the other thing that we had, this other new story that was not on the table when we started, was the amount of clips that we had that had basically been made in the intervening 10 years of making this movie, not the least of which is Stranger Things. That now we're changing this narrative by doing a lot of backwards looking nostalgia, things like Yellow Jackets, which is a current show, having a character open up a store that sells VCRs and videos, and having younger characters pick up a tape and say, what is this thing? There's a movie on here. We didn't have those clips in 2015 because no one had bothered to make those scenes yet. So by the time we finished the movie, there had been this entire new wave of what video stores on screen looked like, almost entirely, if not literally a period piece, then describing them as something of the past that became hugely valuable to kind of rounding out the point that the movie needed to make, that made it better because none of this stuff was on the table when we started.
Do you foresee maybe an addendum or a special edition where you...
No, and even there's been enough stuff that's come out in the year and change since we finished, I kind of said this in the text of the movie, knowing that this would happen. They're all period pieces, and they're all doing the same thing.
Right.
There's no new point to be made. Everything that has been shown since, and even just the other day, I saw a trailer for a new movie with a video store shot in it. Everything is, I'm confident, will just do the same period piece beats. And this is, there's a movie that came out as we finished the film called Freaky Tales, where it's a 80s set thing, and there's like a scene with Pedro Pascal and Tom Hanks in a video store. And I look at it and I'm like, even if we had this just makes the same point as every other period piece.
Right.
The point is making a comment on the challenging accessibility of movies at some other point in time. If I ever see one that I think, Jesus, that is a perspective that I didn't think someone was ever going to put in a movie, then we'll talk. But there's so many wonderful stores open now in Los Angeles, a handful, and I say this all the time. Like what I don't think is going to happen is just a contemporary set Los Angeles comedy or drama show in which characters go browse Whammy, which sells only tapes, and nobody in the scene says, it's unbelievable that there's a store open that only sells videotapes. Let's talk about why. It cannot. If that scene ever gets made, which who knows, the scene cannot possibly exist in a way that has any relationship with the movie other than existing after the movie is made. And commenting on this store is the point of the scene. No one is just there picking out a movie to add to their video collection in 2025 unless that or six unless that character is a lunatic. And that would be compelling, but that would be very similar to what we've seen before.
Yeah. Aspirations for a physical release of it?
It's happening.
Yeah.
The only aspiration forever was that the tape would beat the Blu-ray to market,
right?
Which I hope still happens. And
yeah.
the primary aspiration is that it's a 2-tape set with the split at the end of the pornography chapter of Video Heaven, which is the 4th of 7 chapters. Because for me, the first 4 chapters are largely objective, meaning that they're adhering much closer to Dan's rigorous research and a sort of literal history of the video store as a space and concepts within it, such as pornography and romantic encounters. And then chapters 5, 6, and 7 are really subjective. That's where my editorializing takes over Dan's factual analysis. And I think if the tape was split that way, that would be perfect. That's my aspiration. But I would, Blu-rays in motion, tape coming very soon, and Criterion Channel streaming in the meanwhile.
Yeah, it really is terrific. Really, congratulations. It really spoke to me. It's just what I needed. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because you didn't want it to end, because to you that meant that you got to a video store 3 hours before it closed, and when they closed, you thought, "Oh man, I wish I got in here earlier."
Yeah,
and I introduce it by saying, this is for people who want to spend 3 hours in a video store today.
Yeah.
And if you found one, maybe that's how long you'd be there. If I found one, maybe that's how long I'd be there. And people who say, "I wish this movie was 90 minutes long," it's like, well, I guess you don't want to hang out in a video store all day like I do. I guess you want to dip in and out.
Unbelievable. Well, where can the kids find you online, and what's next for you?
I have no online presence aside from Instagram, which is just my full name. And it's fine enough if you're engaged. Nothing. We're having another kid in a month, so.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
congrats! Double congrats! Holy shit!
But this movie was one of several projects that I completed kind of in a short span of time, and has been really satisfying. But it was nice to have this kind of as like a secret little side project to tinker with off and on for a long, long time. But I just hope people keep finding it and enjoying it.
Let me ask you real quick before I let you go. Because with my collection, and I'll cop to it, I have a Matt McCarthy section with movies and TV shows I've been. Do you have a Alex Ross Perry section in your collection?
Not where the movies are. Oh, I was going to say I could show you, but they're behind a pillow. No, they're not where the movies are, because you tend to get 10 copies of something.
They'll say, yeah.
So I put them on like a bookshelf by my desk with reference materials.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're behind a pillow right now, but I also have a lot of what do I have? 3 different vinyl soundtrack releases. So it's like it's quite a large section, but it's not like a section of the movie section. It's like a section of my office.
Yeah, I love it. Favorite movie? Do you have one? Do you have like a singular favorite movie?
Well, I mean, there's like my kind of diamond cut all-time top 10, which seasonally would change and might be The Elephant Man one day, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre one day, or Dennis Hopper's The Last Movie another day. But
I hear you.
It's a or Clockwork Orange another day. I'm just reciting my Sight and Sound top 10 now. But
what I mean is LA Plays Itself the movie you've watched more than any other movie?
I mean, not pressing play at minute 1 and turning it off when the credits roll, but there were months of working on Video Heaven where I would just have it open in a tab on my computer, just playing, so I could just live in the voiceover. So no, start to finish, I've probably seen it in the neighborhood of 10 times.
What do you think the start to finish most views?
I mean, every day of my life that I was homesick, since I was like 8 years old, I watched Star Wars
Yeah.
And then if I was still sick later that day, I'd watch Empire Strikes Back. So probably the volume of sick days is proportionate to the amount of rewatches there.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I thank you so much again for doing this. This was wonderful. This was perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, so I'll have it. This will probably be maybe next month. I
No,
do
no
this
problem.
monthly.
I hope having an hour wasn't like radically less than you typically have or would prefer.
I always shoot for an hour, and then
Okay.
I wind up like, we could spend 3 hours in the video.
Sure,
store
sure.
type
No,
of
I mean,
situation.
again, I do have to run, but
Of course.
could have kept going. But I feel like
No,
there's value in a concise conversation.
Yes, it's better for me if we have a pencils down moment because I could just keep going.
Well, I appreciate you watching the movie and reaching out.
I really loved it. Really great, great work.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Where
All
are
right,
you
thanks
based?
again.
Where
I'm
are
in
you?
LA now. I grew up
Okay.
in Rhode Island, but I'm in LA.
So you have
now.
access to all these good LA stores.
I know. I'm spoiled out here. I mean, the only thing that would beat it is if I was up in Portland.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, every time I'm there, it's like Cinephile's fun, Whammy's fun, Videotech is amazing.
Yeah, Videotech is great.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, thanks again.
Yeah, likewise. I'll be in touch. Thanks so much.
Talk soon. Bye.